Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one more, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
What it do?
This is not a good start.
It's a great start.
No, it's not.
Wait, let's slow down. Slow down.
Like
Nope.
any of
Nope.
this.
We don't have to start there. We don't have to start there. Before I came down here, there was a few weeks ago, I guess, or months ago maybe, there was a segment on this show that made me sad. And I was determined to help rectify this for the members of the show. First of all, play the little portion that upset me.
I win in the margins. I'm like,
you're Moneyball of sex.
I'm basically Scott Hatteberg.
A lot of walks, but I'm on base.
Other dudes, they can be Giambi.
You know your role. You play well.
I know my role.
So I was disappointed. My God, like every now and then, you got to put up some numbers. Like I'm not saying that you got to be Jordan, but I believe that everybody got to have an impressive game every now and then. So I have arranged for us later in the show, and I think this is a service to all of us here and a service to our listeners. I've arranged for a sex educator to come and help us get better. We got to work on our game. Every offseason, add something to your game. What, you look nervous, David?
I am so excited.
Oh, God.
Can I get a private tutorial?
Cancel it. Cancel it. Cancel it. We'll get to that eventually. I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that's listening because I think that people could benefit from this.
That's not what I'm talking about, Domonique. I have no problem with your sex therapist coming in and I guess literally.
Is his specific sex therapist?
Nah.
For his
I don't know who it is. I'm a little in the dark today.
Nah, it's not mine. I don't need no help.
Well, you're in Stu's chair.
I'm a natural.
You're playing the part.
Can we take
LeBron
people?
James of this shit.
Can we take people behind the curtain of what's actually happening here? Domonique's trying to host a show from the big chair. He's trying to be the Dan, and I'm in the Stu chair, and David's in the Greg chair, and the tension before we started was legitimately uncomfortable.
It was.
We've had a great week, guys.
Great week.
We ended yesterday. If you haven't watched, listened to yesterday's show, the vibes were as high as I think they've been. I don't know, you guys behind the glass? Chris Cody, Billy Gill, Charlie Kravitz, Juju Gotti, Jeremy.
Boy, look at their excitement.
Yesterday, I thought it felt like being on what I imagine a team, a sports team might be like.
Or a debate team. After a big debate.
Have you never been on a sports team, Pablo?
Varsity debate, yeah.
So no.
That's a sports team.
No, it's not.
Debate, it's a team.
Let's not play that game.
Thank you, David.
It really is a team.
Varsity.
Oh, no, is it a team? It's a team,
It's
but
a
is it
team.
a sport? No, it's not a sport. It's different. He said a sports team.
We're getting off track.
Okay. Yeah, let's get focused.
David hates Domonique.
So deeply.
I gathered that on Monday, though.
No, the thing is, the awesome thing about David and why I've thoroughly enjoyed working with him, anytime I've worked with him, is the title of his show, most of the time I think he really believes in. I don't think he takes any of this personally until now. So
I'm
us
not taking
debating
this personally. This is just you trying to peacock where the three of us were asked to be here, and there are three chairs. There's a rotation that is a normal rotation. Pablo, day one, Domonique, day two, and it was me in that chair, day three. I'm not talking about this because I'm not going to demean our audience by thinking that this is worthy of talking about, but you and your desire to be in charge when we are equals, this is how teams lose.
But this
is the way you're
But this
acting.
is the playoffs. Jeremy just made a great analogy back here that you'll understand. This is like in the playoffs. You're the number 4 pitcher, and we're skipping your start, and we're going to.
Wow.
Whoa.
You're not even Brad Penny.
So listen.
You're not even.
It's just a good analogy. This is a
I
big
would've-
moment.
I would have used. I would have
no
used.
Carl Pavano
I would
in
have
here.
used a different analogy.
This is not what
You
a good
don't need
teammate
it.
does.
Where are you
This
going?
isn't a strong start.
What did
Should
you
I
say?
not have run with that analogy?
No.
Damn, that was a
Hey,
good analogy. Though.
so welcome to today's Everything Personal with David Sampson. It's an awesome show. It used to be called Nothing Personal, but now apparently he takes everything personally. So I would have used a different analogy. I think that I would have thought of us more like a basketball. You're welcome back. Like a basketball team or a football team. So let's stick with the basketball analogy. David,
Were
great
you
player.
about to demean your own position that you actually played in the NFL by appointing yourself a quarterback?
No, you're so smart. That's why you're captain.
Saw
of the
that
debate team.
coming. Like a
Debate
cornerback, I
team.
saw that coming a mile away.
So there are different positions, and right now, just because you're the point guard does not mean that you're the best player. And I want David to know that I
Wait,
believe.
are you going Kyrie Irving, Brooklyn Nets era? We're all
No.
coaches right now.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are different people-
Positionless basketball.
I'm being completely honest. Like, the jokes aside, I think that different people have different assets. And I think the best role for David is where he is, saying inflammatory things that make me look good. The best role for Pablo, honestly, I think Pablo is the best host of all of us.
So why am I not
So
in that
why
chair?
is he not?
Fair point. Pablo. Come
There's
host,
no
host
way
this thing,
that you
baby.
guys are
Host
doing
this thing,
this.
baby.
Seems unfair to
Host
David.
this thing,
is
baby. Come host this thing,
unconscionable.
baby. Do your
Earn
thing,
not
Pablo.
given.
Do your thing. Show
Well,
how
you're-
good you are, Pablo. I can't
Giving
wait.
it to you right now.
I can't
Clearly,
wait.
from
Host
Barry
the
to
shit
Penny.
out of this show. Hello?
David, I have a question for you. How was this trip pitched to you? Because like I was sitting in Chris's seat on Monday, and I came in and had to kind of figure out who's sitting where, and I just asked you guys like who wants to sit where, and the decisions were kind of made. And you were hosting your show at the time, so I didn't really think much of it. But were you told you were hosting? Like, what was told to you guys when you guys were booked to come down here?
That we were coming down, the three of us, to do 4 shows, and then they're bailing, and that it's just me on Friday.
Wow.
You can sit there on Friday. David.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting. I'll tell you right now, Chris. You guys can have fun Friday. They're bailing. I agreed to stay the entire week. I'm sitting right in this damn chair.
Wow.
I want to know. I want to turn the camera around to you guys. How does this work? How do you guys and your seating arrangement? How does that work? Because Juju is sitting like in the back. Juju's in the bleachers right now. He's not even near a microphone. I think he is listening, but he has, of course, he has shades on. But it's confusing.
Salute. I hate this chair more than any chair in this entire studio, but we have a guest, so I'm gonna let Charlie sit where I love to sit, and Billy sits where I love to sit also. But this is the blackest chair. I think black people sit in the back today, so I'm just following y'all rules.
Oh, man.
Hold on.
Comment, Charlie?
I try to sit as close to Billy as possible. He's my buddy.
Two is in the front row.
Oh God. Can we talk about
I
why
hate photoshopping. I can't stand it because
Yeah,
I don't
you-
know what's real and what's not.
you hate it because you texted the show production group chat this morning asking, should we talk about Tua Tagovailoa being in the front row of the Trump rally?
And apparently he wasn't.
Apparently that was a very easily detectable Photoshop
By who?
by
Not Clay
everyone
Travis. He retweeted it. Said, "Look who's going to be here."
owned.
He
But if you-
retweeted as though he believed it.
But if
yeah,
you just
well, I mean, a lot of people believe it. I think it served its purpose. I mean, I don't know who did the actual Photoshop, but like Tua's gonna have to answer questions now about going to a Trump rally he didn't go to. Someone will ask him about that.
terrible.
I think the assumption is he was there because of the photo.
To describe the photo, it's not a photoshopped photo of Tua. It is a placard on a white chair that says Tua Tagovailoa, and next to that is Eric Trump's placard.
Why would that be Barron Trump's seat? Wouldn't you sit in age order? Because I feel like that was an aisle seat. And I would think that the oldest sibling would be on the aisle and that Barron would be more.
Barron's like 7'1". He needs the aisle.
So it's
stretch
a
the
size
legs.
thing?
Also,
How
Q
many
rating.
inches?
They're like, let's put the best Q rating here towards the end.
If you want a sense of how earnestly David Sampson pays attention to who's sitting where, that question, which was incredibly genuine, kind of says everything.
That was
I
a
feel like.
65-inch. That was a 65-inch take.
Juju, we got to write this wrong. Front row, Juju. Front row, baby. Like,
Yeah, why is
not,
it- why do you
not,
wanna say
not while
front
I'm
row?
not while I'm here. I didn't realize that you
That
felt.
front row make black people look so black. Robbie looking black.
that's
as
true.
charcoal in that seat. Boy, y'all be zooming in too, but I don't want to sit that close to the goddamn camera. I need some light in my face, goddamn. But I'm not emotional. I'm just, you know what I mean, living my life. I love being here. I'm happy to be here.
No one likes the front row for whatever reason.
That chair, the seat that we see front row right.
That was a magical rant.
Because it's true. If you looked at I don't know how Roy has been shot lately when it comes to lighting, but I remember being here last year and being like, we are not doing Roy Belly any favors.
Hold on. I need some light on my face, goddammit. It's the best line I've heard all day.
Oh,
The
Lord.
Tua stuff is interesting, but I know you haven't. You were doing work this morning, and David, I think you were discussing the Mike Gundy topic on your show this morning. Your show, Everything Personal with David Sampson. You can download it, rate, review it anywhere you want. But we got some sound from Mike Gundy. So
I
Mike
haven't
Gundy,
seen it yet.
You understand that Mike Gundy's.
You don't know anything that's going on with Mike
Give some
Gundy?
context before.
Yeah.
All I see right now is a still screenshot of Mike Gundy, and he looks just, as a entity, ridiculous.
But to be fair, a still shot when you're in the middle of a video, you can catch people blinking. I mean, you can find any still shot.
It's not his facial expression, David. It's just Mike
Does he
Gundy
have-
looking like Mike Gundy.
Does he have a high and tight mullet?
Yes, he does.
Jesus.
So the story is that he has an All-American player named Ollie Gordon II, and there's alcohol, drunk driving involved, and it turns out that you'd think there'd be a punishment, but it turns out that in his mind, the punishment would only be we're going to play him more, not less. And he was serious, but that's not the worst part about what happened with Mike Gundy.
So I looked it up on my phone. What would be the legal limit? Like in Oklahoma is .08, and Ollie was 0.1. So I looked it up, and it was based on body weight. Not to get into the legal side of it, but I thought really 2 or 3 beers or 4. I'm not justifying what Ollie did. I'm telling you what decision I made. Well, I thought I've probably done that 1,000 times in my life. And I, it's just fine. So I got lucky. People get lucky. Ollie made a decision that he wished he could have done better. But when I talked to Ollie, I told him, I said, you're lucky you got out light because you make a lot of money.
I'm incensed because he then tried to cover it up. He got in trouble. His PR department and his AD.
You got in trouble for that?
So
what was
the-
wrong with that?
The claim was, no, I didn't say I was drunk driving 1,000 times. I said I've made 1,000 bad decisions in my life, except that's a dangling modifier. He said he got lucky, meaning he got lucky he didn't get banged for drunk driving.
We have another clip.
He's going to play, and I'm going to do what we think is best for Oklahoma State football, and I think it's best for Ollie to play. If there's any punishment, it's make him carry the ball 50 times in the first game.
Is that the police coming for Mike Gundy?
It should be the AD coming for his job because he would not survive this if I'm the AD of Oklahoma State.
I mean, you've said that you're incensed, you're upset, but you haven't explained specifically what about it.
He's got a
upsets you.
responsibility. He's got a responsibility to lead men, to lead young men, whether they're employees, whether they're making money with NIL, whatever age they are. He has a responsibility. He is the face of a university. The football coach is the face. And what he is saying, and 4 days ago, was it 4 days ago?
Can we pause for a second to acknowledge that I believe the audience should be aware of what has been happening, which is that there is a giant fire alarm.
It happens
system
all the time.
happening. Okay,
Ignore it.
very good.
It's
So we're not
totally
going to
fine.
die?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we
It's a
all
very
die.
boy who cried wolf situation here where the big one's coming at some point, but no one's ever concerned because it's a daily occurrence.
And so when they say in your ear, if you're going to be in that chair, when they say ignore the alarm and keep going, what that means is you don't need to talk about it on the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, not sure I agree with that as the host of the show.
I believe in you, Chris.
Thank you,
So
David.
At what point does so Mike Gundy deserves to obviously be criticized for this ridiculous take, but at what point
Is it a take? Like, this is what bothered me about it. It's not like a Stephen A. Smith take. In his mind, what he was saying is, hey, we all drink and drive. And 4 days ago, what's the name of the Minnesota Vikings player? I believe he just died and got killed by a drunk driver.
Absolutely.
4 days ago.
So the point that I'm making is I think it goes higher than Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy is not new to this type of nonsense. We were doing a little reading about Mike Gundy's past this morning, and he allegedly is responsible for a lot of, I guess, recruiting violations is one thing that he's been alleged of, but that's not as awful as some of the things that he's been accused of as far as like interviewing the orange hostesses, and which are like the women who are there to welcome the recruits and arranging for them to have a good time with some of the recruits. These are accusations.
Allegedly.
I said allegedly twice. Oh, you got nervous? Get a third allegedly?
I'm tied to you.
Yes.
Ever since Juju called out Kravitz, he's been a little jumpy.
Oh.
Allegedly.
Well, I did not say one word to Charlie Kravitz today. I didn't call Charlie out. And Charlie
good.
deserves to sit by his friend Billy. It would make sense if Billy sat his ass up there, so Charlie would follow his ass up there.
Oh,
I mean, I've been in this seat for 14 years, so.
You see what I'm saying? Look what you just did to me. Now Billy mad at me.
I blame Pablo. This is all
I
Pablo's
just was
fault.
sitting down, minding my business. You done brought me into this? That's messed up, Pablo.
I apologize.
Damn.
Would David have done
Hand up.
this if David was in that seat? Or
Absolutely not. And you'll find that out on Friday.
Well, Friday you're going to be in that seat, you said.
Yeah, I've changed my mind.
Okay.
Now that I see what's happening here, we need a captain. There needs to be a leader of men, and Mike Gundy is not that leader. You're talking about things that he allegedly did. Right. This is not alleged. This is his, unless it's a photoshopped. I've seen that on the internet recently.
Oh, like deepfakes?
Where people are pretending they're talking, but it's not them talking.
Pretty sure this isn't that.
So this is him.
Yeah.
So he really
I think
did say this?
He released a statement afterwards. This is a real thing, and this is really how he feels. I think the concerning part is, you're right, the leadership of men situation is like a cliche, but I get the point. It is about the example that you set. And to be fair, I don't want to get up here and get all grandstandy, holier than thou, and act like I haven't been a part of teams where it is understood that we say certain things behind or when there are no cameras, and then we say certain things to the camera. The shocking thing to me is not that Mike Gundy feels or says the things that he says. The shocking thing to me is that he's been a coach since, remember, I'm a man, I'm 40. That was like 15 years ago. Like
He's 56 now.
The shocking thing is, I'm a man, I'm 56. I've been a head coach of a major college football program for this long, and you put a mic in front of my face, and I'm still stupid?
So we're on the same page, because what goes on, and people have called me hypocritical because of this, but what goes on when you're running a team is that I'm going to move right past that, Stu, and I'm going to say,
I want to fight him. Call my dog a hypocrite.
Do you have a dog? So here's my issue.
We're gonna have.
Can we have a running list?
Can we get another journal note for David?
Yes, Domonique.
No. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that I love that we are jocular, but this is not, to me, this was not a jocular moment. And I took it seriously on Nothing Personal. I'll take it seriously here in front of people. There are different things that go on when there's no cameras in a clubhouse. Right. There are, and we've acknowledged that. But this is so irresponsible that you cannot and should not be able to come back from that by claiming you were talking about something else, which is what everyone does when they're caught. No, you misunderstood me. Or no, I'm a sex addict. Or no, I need rehab for whatever when I get caught. This is him making it okay. He is making the behavior okay, and it's just not okay. Talk to Kyrie Jackson's family. It's just not okay.
But nobody expects anything to actually happen here, or do you? Do you think that this is a Rubicon for Mike Gundy? This is finally the thing.
If Ollie Gordon were a worse player, I don't think Mike Gundy survives it. But I think that
if Ollie Gordon was a worse player, I don't think Ollie Gordon survives it. And so there would be no uproar for Mike Gundy. The only reason why he's getting 50 carries is not to be a punishment to Ollie Gordon. It's because you give him 50 carries and he said it in that statement. He said, we're going to do what's best for Oklahoma State. That was the first thing he said before he said anything about I'm offended or appalled by his actions or we need to make sure that we're raising our men to take responsibility. He said, I do the same shit. Let's get a dub. Basically, let's translate it that like, let's try to win this Heisman, Ollie.
All of this reminds me, David especially, of like how, like what role sometimes the media has to play if we're going to live in a society. Like I see this on the internet, I see this now for the first time, and I'm like, we can move past this as an internet, as a people who are online, like within an hour. Like, oh, yeah, Mike Gundy said something stupid. I see people saying stupid things who are employed, who are everywhere all of the time. They may even get elected. The thing about what the media has to do, though, is be the thing that Domonique said he wanted to avoid, which is we have to be the scold. Like, in the absence of a school that's going to do something, we have to be on some serious level, and we're a show, of course, that wants to be both stupid and smart. We have to do the smart thing of saying, like, we all actually agree that this feels like a boundary we can't take unseriously. Like, does this feel fireable? Yes to all of us on, like, a moral level. And maybe it's the Lifetime Achievement Award of stupidity. But it's just like, yeah, I guess that's what the media has to do, which is where the media gets to be campaigned against all of the time.
Some things last more than an hour. Some things
and
have
I think
legs.
that's what Pablo's point is.
So this to me is one of those
But
things.
how do they last more than an hour? You need someone to be like, sorry to break up the jokes, but this is up.
You need a booster. You need someone. It's like when sponsors walk away from a team because you're associating with the player. You need that. And the sponsors are the boosters. You need someone to come in and say, hey, we don't want to be associated now with this program.
But we're also assuming that, like, boosters have this, like, moral high ground that they live on. Like, they just want to be relevant, right? And, like, Oklahoma State is not, right? But with the new playoff system, I think they were ranked, like, 16th last year. Like, they're right on the edge of relevancy there. And Ollie Gordon, I think, is the best running back in college football. So are they going to risk getting rid of their coach and then maybe not being relevant anymore over these comments? Like, they probably won't take that moral stand.
They're probably going to agree with Gundy that they should do what's best for Oklahoma State.
And give him 50 carries. Maybe that is a punishment. Does he normally get, do we know how many his average carries are? What if his average carries are only 20 and he really does view 50 as a punishment because he'd be all tired?
I think that this is...
His high was 34 in a game last year.
So I guess that's a punishment. He's going to have to work harder.
Part of the challenges, I think, with being like a intelligent, modern person is that you are capable of rationalizing anything. Is I could understand, and depending on your perspective and where you are in this situation, I could understand how someone in that school would say that, okay, Ollie did something stupid, but Ollie is so important to everything that we are doing here. We're not going to punish everyone else by punishing Ollie for doing something stupid. And I also could understand them coming to that same rationale. I'm not saying it's right, and I think Pablo's right to call me, frankly, personally, to the carpet and saying that I'm like pointing out that I understand that these things are said and we see them before. The difference is that he's saying it publicly. I'm completely comfortable with that, but I think part of it also is like what, and this is just being completely honest, it's not a defense, but I feel like what is actually going to happen? Because I know how this works. And because he said this does not mean that that people are going to behave any differently. I think that a lot of college football coaches, and I've played college football and professional football, the point is we need to go win games. And anything that gets in the way of that is going to be a problem. Now, if we create a big enough stink, or if the media creates a big enough stink around this Ollie Gordon thing, then that gets in the way of them making money. It gets in the way of sponsorships. It gets to the point where people aren't buying tickets, where people are choosing not to go there because of it, or it's distracting their players. Then there's a reaction to it. So I guess that's...
Domonique, did you really need to do mental gymnastics to go pro player on this story out of nowhere, where you could have just been like, yeah, it's sort of up. You shouldn't have done that. Isn't that the way simpler take?
Thanks, Charlie.
Damn. I'm not
From
gonna
the middle
say.
seat.
I'm not gonna say the trend I'm noticing with who Charlie is at war with today. But
Their first game's also against South Dakota State, so you could be like, you know what, Ollie, you're not playing the first game, but South Dakota State was undefeated
It's the
last
Harbaugh,
year.
Michigan plan. Suspend him for the games early that don't matter and say now everything's okay.
The problem with that is he's a Heisman candidate, and winning a Heisman trophy means a lot more to the institution than like it can change the way that they're going. And the Heisman is a lot based on the statistics, and so you are missing a game where you could possibly get 3 touchdowns and 250 yards. That's going to change your Heisman possibilities.
what you're saying is that Ollie Gordon is no fourth starter. So on the list of stories that I feel like, oh wow, I'm just looking at the Greg McOverrated shirt that they're showing on the side screen. Distracted.
That's a preview that no one could see.
Very good. So speaking of things that I have never seen before.
We are off to a rough start. You shouldn't have switched seats.
Guys.
I miss you, Domonique. I miss you, man.
I don't like the dynamic that's forming around me.
Speaking of things that Pablo hasn't seen.
There's this kid who's 16 years old who's like the biggest celebrity in the world, and he's not an influencer. He's not one of the normal 16-year-olds I'm used to suddenly being a thing, causing like giant riots because they're streaming in Europe or something, like Kai Cenat or Speed or any of these other young people that I'm now going to pretend that I've known about for a long time. Who wants to explain the kid from Spain? Who wants to explain this story for people who know nothing about this story?
Yamal is a player for Spain who's 16 years old, who last year in the U17 Euros scored a incredible goal that sort of went viral. We knew he was a soccer prodigy. And yesterday, against France, he had been scoreless in the Euros, took one dribble into the center of the field with his left foot and banged home a goal that was unbelievable and tied the game at 1-1. After being called out by the defender who was actually defending him on that play.
So the fact that this kid is 16 years old, are we numb to this? Today is going to be a show about asking ourselves, are we numb to this? And this one, I was admittedly kind of numb to it until I saw that photo of Leo Messi with this kid.
Who was 7 months old.
When
Leo was 20.
Yep.
And Messi scored yesterday in the Copa semi.
So they're calling him like the next Messi because he plays for Barcelona. His parents are, I think his mom is from Equatorial Guinea, and his dad is from Morocco, but he was born in Spain. And he was at it says in this article in The Guardian, it says that 17 years ago, Messi was holding a baby for a charity calendar. And the baby that he was holding happened to be this kid, the greatest player in Barcelona history.
Describe this photo. Look at this. Leo Messi is in.
And so, you can see this photo. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Describe the photo.
There's like a plastic blue tub, and there is a baby, like a straight up,
big baby.
That's a baby.
Chris Cody said it.
It's a big baby.
It's a baby, though. And that's the tub where you wash infants.
Yeah.
Or you do it in the sink or in that sort of tub.
And Leo Messi dressed in a frock-like white, I would say,
Sailor's
a priestly
outfit?
white / sailor's outfit is cleaning this baby.
I think it's interesting, incredibly interesting, because it feels so random, and it sets you up to be able to say that the reason why he is so good is because Messi was the one bathing him. Because the shock is not think
touched by God.
What else does this photo imply?
He's the best. Like, it's absurd.
What other photo exists like this?
It's like he's baptizing this kid. We spent most of yesterday talking about how incredible Cooper Flagg was for playing well in an exhibition game. This kid is 17 years old, balling out in the Euros. 16 years old, balling in the Euros, and also in Spanish football.
We're 6 months away from LeBron pretending he did this to Cooper Flagg.
And Domonique, I think that this show is live, but if you had thought the show was coming out next week, he does turn 17 Saturday, and I think that's what my teammate meant.
That is very good hosting by you, David.
Is it?
On opposite day.
I've gotten used to seeing pictures of young stars with like LeBron. You see that all the time because those guys are like the best players in their age group. So you go and take that picture where it's like, all right, like Jason Tatum with LeBron. But the idea that they did it when he was an infant to me is incredible.
Are we saying that he was an actor? I misunderstood. I thought it was part of a promotional thing.
I believe so.
That this was a photo shoot, and it had nothing to do with soccer at all. This was an advertisement for Johnson & Johnson baby wash. I missed that part.
I don't think it was an advertisement. I think it says a charity calendar shoot. We can get some more information.
I think that he was.
You know who the person I
soccer-
want to find out about who wasn't in this photo? Leo Messi's wife. I just want to point out that that was a joke for Chris and Billy and Charlie and Jeremy. And I want to apologize to Juju
want no part of
again
that.
because Juju, that was not.
Juju,
what happened was
I'm with you. I have no idea.
we
what
were
just
giving him
happened.
crap for using an opposite day joke. And then we said, you need to do a not joke next. And then I said, after you do the not joke, you need to hit him with a my wife. But we missed the not joke.
We did. We skipped to the wife.
One of the things that I don't love is all of the private conversations that go on during a show.
Producing.
Because it reminds me a bit of high school or grade school where you feel like you're missing something and we're trying to be a cohesive team, yet there's constant buttons being pressed and things being said, and I'm in a buttonless seat for the third day in a row.
But yet we're all pushing your buttons.
I can't. It's not that hard. You know me. You know me for 2 decades. You know exactly where they reside. So I had a solution to this.
We're doing that segment later, David.
What do you think about not being able to work as a professional athlete anywhere in the world at a uniform age of 17?
You want to
Make it a uniform rule.
Have a legal age limit.
A legal age limit, so there's no moving. So in baseball, I see that your brow is furrowed, and Jesse's good. You look great. I believe that there are people who move around to try to get into a different school or to try to do something to become draft eligible, to try to skirt the rules. What if you, including moving to different countries, different cities, what if you just made it uniform? Birth certificate, 17, then you can go ahead and be a professional athlete.
Well, I mean, my immediate assumption is the world is not uniform. So, like, sometimes moving gets you better access to training and support and financial resources that if you're an incredible soccer player in a Brazilian favela, if you happen to have that skill and that gets you to Spain where your family can get access to more resources, then I think having a uniform age actually hurts the athlete, because I assume, knowing what I know about you, that the reason why you're instituting this rule is to protect the young athlete, right?
I'm making it so this one just hit me differently.
Right.
Thinking about my kids at 16, thinking about me at 16, thinking about the platform that he's on, the scrutiny that he's under. Yes, he scored a goal, but as we pointed out, he hadn't scored in the Euros the whole time, where people get it. What if he didn't score and the team lost? I mean, there's so many things. The pressure. He's a kid. 16 is, even though he turned 17 Saturday, he's a child.
Do you 17's not a child? I mean,
So
what are we doing
at
here?
some point we have to choose. So we choose 21 to drink, we choose 18 to vote, we choose 16 to drive in certain places, but 18 to drive in other places.
Do you feel this way about actors?
I love where your head's at. So I gave that a lot of thought. And no, I don't. Because in order to have a family portrayed on the screen or in a movie, you have to have children. Now, you can go back to Shakespeare where all the men played women, and because they didn't allow women, so you could have Brad Williams play every part of a child.
I
But
just so
You have thought about this.
can we
I have.
slow it down a little bit? It appears that originally that you're looking to protect the young athlete, but you're looking to protect them until it gets in the way of something that you like. So, like, you're
No, I love soccer.
No,
So-
I understand, but you're saying that it's still not okay for child actors. But how we gonna portray families on TV? Go ahead and expose them to this. But soccer players, it's fine.
Because we can portray a professional team without a 16-year-old.
Seemed like Spain really needed this kid. Seemed like the
does.
nation of Spain
my-
really needed the 16-year-old.
My point is, if you're standing on a moral ground to say that this is about protecting these young kids,
It's not moral, Domonique. It's what
That's true.
it just felt.
Right now,
felt
forget moral.
wrong.
It's about defending them, protecting them. It seems odd to me that you want to protect them until it means, oh, now our movie's gonna be weird. so we could expose these kids to things that are much more dangerous, because we've seen child actors have a lot tougher lives post more than child stars or child sports stars.
But there would be plenty of more roles for.
Brad. Brad.
You said Brad Williams, so it kind of opened the door.
I did say Brad. Well, that's so you're so late.
That's why I brought it back.
Brad. I think there's a difference. You've been in a clubhouse. You've been a player in a clubhouse. Children, imagine a 16-year-old on your football team.
Oh, yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I would say the same thing is true for many kids in acting. Like, they get into drugs and sex and drinking and parties and things that are much more. I think this probably the rule that you should institute is that there is some sort of protection for them, not that you just.
Well, they have that in acting, and it just doesn't work. And I don't know. I know that we didn't have babysitters for our young players. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Josh Hamilton had a babysitter because of his past, but we let young players come up, and it must be in the NFL too. No. There's no when you're 20, there's no babysitter for a 22-year-old.
No, but I mean, yeah, they're 22, though. They're not 16.
What's the youngest player you ever played with?
Probably 21, 20, something like that, but yeah.
So you did have underage, like, so.
Well, you have to be three years removed from high school. So
under drinking age.
There was some kids who had, like, matriculated through grade school earlier and got to the league, but it's a rarity. You know, most of the time you're 21, 22 years old when you get to the NFL. So it's a different situation.
You know, there's a parallel argument, though, that on the team side I have heard executives make. Michael Jordan actually made this argument as an owner of the Wizards because he was against letting kids go from high school to the NBA. And part of the reason was actually when you get into the lottery of, I guess in the draft lottery, a literal sense, but also which of these kids is going to be good as a pro, it's just really, really hard. It's a symptom of the child actor phenomenon. You can have somebody who is good in spots as a kid, but can you actually project out with such little data who's going to be worth investing millions in? And so Michael Jordan, again, Kwame Brown, Michael Jordan, that guy was like, we need to protect owners from themselves because the temptation is going to be, we want to all be baptizing the next baby and win the lottery.
Isn't that just because Michael Jordan took Kwame Brown over Pau Gasol?
Yeah, pretty much. But, I mean, I think it ties back to our Bronny conversation a little bit in that when you are in the professional ranks, and I guess European football is different because they have a process to help their players develop. But when you're in the professional ranks, we don't really have as much time for player development. So I think that it's risky sometimes, and you can change the trajectory of your career if you move on to the next step before you're ready to. And like, I know some players who are really talented but young, they might move up into higher levels of basketball, but they're still small. And so then their shot becomes a little deformed because they're trying to get it over taller players. So I think all this stuff needs to be weighed into it, but I don't think that the most important thing is that we have movies with kids in them.
I think that we hear more about child stars who have a problem than we hear about young athletes who flame out and their lives. Right. I mean, we hear the Ryan Leafs of the world, but there's way more.
I mean, I would think that's because they aren't famous. So the child star becomes famous, and then we hear about their problems because they're famous. The young athlete never becomes famous because they never become good. I think there are lots of stories of athletes who have made poor decisions and gone to wrong places, and probably baseball would be the place where it would happen a lot, where guys were drafted and went into the minors. And
there's way more. It's one of the biggest differences in baseball that I've always been jealous of the NFL is we've got this. We have our own development.
Is there anything is there anything that you think the NFL should be jealous? Because every time I hear you talk about it, it's like baseball is so jealous of the NFL for this, this, and this.
I spent 18 years thinking about that question. There's not one thing that we do that other than maybe the passion and emotion of a father and son having a catch that you can associate
with
James or Joan. So but it feels good and emotional.
Yeah.
That may be the only thing that there can be jealousy of between football and baseball.
Brain injuries. I don't have any of those. Shout out to you for not having a brain injury issue.
Didn't baseball figure out streaming before everyone else?
Bam!
Strangely.
ML Bam was the first, and it added a lot of value to that sport. Two different companies. People confuse MLB.com with ML Bam. ML Bam is a technology company. Baseball started. That was the first ever meeting I ever attended in baseball, was the creation of Bam. And we voted for it. We didn't really know what it was. And the board was just a bunch of old white guys who voted to start this tech company. It didn't understand anything about it. And it became a multi-billion-dollar company.
You want to explain what BAM is? It's like just streaming, right?
It's literally the back. It's back of the house where we run other people's websites. And then it got sold, and John Skipper, in a conversation that Pablo, which you may have listened to on the sporting class, Pablo, John Skipper, and I had about how John Skipper screwed over baseball so unbelievably in that transaction.
So you're saying that MLBAM, MLBAM, that's who hosted MeatSpin.com.
I don't know whether that was on the list of websites. It's mostly league websites, but maybe. But maybe there were, sex websites too. I don't actually. We never got a list of websites.
Yeah, you guys are more Lemon Party folks, I think.
I think it was mostly sports.
I want to be a good teammate. I want to help you out, Pablo, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's for the best.
It was a good joke. I liked it.
It was a
Pablo.
good joke?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a good joke.
I don't get it. I think I'm too
Baseball
old.
fans are old. Lemon Party.
Oh, got it. Okay. Good one, Pops.
You've had many moments today that have been
See,
below
I'm
mediocre.
gonna bring you behind another
I think
curtain. The
we-
curtain behind the curtain. Not.
We might need to call it a reliever.
I'd like to hear from Juju. And I feel as though it's not going to happen. But I miss, because he'd be saying something positive right now to me.
The Minnesota Lynx got a great win over the LA Sparks last night. The LA Sparks are very banged up. Even Lexi Brown was doing the commentary on the broadcast last night. So get well soon, LA Sparks. No judgment from me. Back to you, David. I love you.
Thank you. Love you too. Do you feel older now that your birthday? Is the day after your birthday the worst day and the second day after your birthday of the year?
No, I'm happy to be alive. I can't believe I'm able to see this age. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought I would still be alive to see this age because all of my friends died from gun violence and just bad stuff. So being this age and being surrounded by love is more than I can ask for, really.
Well, you got a lot of people here who love you. And I think that you should aim higher now. I think you should now look to be 56 because it's awesome to be 56 in this room.
Hold on. Juju had a birthday. When was your birthday?
My birthday was July 6th, the same birthday as Billy Gill's daughter's birthday last Saturday night.
Awesome. Well, in that case,
happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Thank you. And to her, Billy's daughter.
Thank you.
How old did your daughter turn?
1.
I think you're not out of the woods. You're like in the bottom.
No,
you're in the
yeah.
top of the first inning.
Yeah.
Just starting.
I had a 3-year-old. I thought that I was getting out of it, and then the 1-year-old, and now.
Are you going to keep going? 2 to 3 is the biggest change you'll ever see.
I always feel
Very
like
personal question.
Yeah,
Feels like an HR violation.
Nothing personal.
The conversations around people's
Is that
kids-
too personal?
Oh no! It's widely accepted. I'm not judging you. It's widely accepted to like meet a couple who doesn't have kids and say like thinking about having kids, or ask someone how many they want to have. It's an odd thing that we kind of accept in society as a normal conversation to have because like, what are you really actually asking somebody?
How
you know?
often do you have sex with your wife?
And
Is
yeah,
that
like
what- I actually wasn't asking that.
no, it's just like it's very much about sex. It's just weird to me.
I don't associate having kids with sex, though it would seem that you should.
Well,
I think it's more because there can be issues that people have
Right.
that you don't want to, you know.
Like maybe they've been trying,
Right.
although their youngest is 1.
It's sort of like
Like-
asking someone, hey, what do you talk about in therapy?
Trying is the funniest term, though.
It is.
Like trying is like, oh, are you having sex a lot? Are you having sex every day? Are you trying? And we just talk about it like it's like this very normal thing to be asking somebody else.
I think that the best advice I could give you is 2 to 3 is a life changer.
Playing zone, huh? No more man coverage. That's the joke they all make.
yeah.
It ain't a joke.
That one, I modified that joke because it's such a bad one, and I would say that as soon as we had our second one, we had matchup issues. Then whether it was man or zone, that boy is hard to guard. We ain't had nobody. We ain't had no scheme. Hard to
The
guard.
younger one setting picks. And
Then we got the third one who completely looks up to him. Oh, we ain't getting no more wins. We are the generals. Just trying to make it to the end of the game, baby. Just trying to make it.
They always make it to the end. They just always lose.
Oh, yeah.
So they make it. So you're going to make it. But what if you just keep losing now for the next 15 years?
Well, we're hoping that LeBron James of our team can carry this squad. She's doing a good job right now. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on that firstborn. Keep cooking.
I do realize that I also just talk in sports metaphors about
Sports
family.
metaphors are the best.
It's like I'm the special teams coordinator of the household. I've said that like 9,000 times to people, and they're asking like, "How are the kids?" I'm like, "Well, I have one daughter, and my wife's really she's the head coach, GM, president, owner."
Why can't you be a coordinator? Why did you go? It doesn't special teams have the connotation of being below, like the bottom of the coaching ranks?
I think, special teams is probably the special teams coordinator is the lowest level coordinator you can probably be. Although probably the best coach I played for, well, I don't know, I guess Mike Shanahan might have been the best coach I played for, but one of the best coaches in football, John Harbaugh, was a special teams coordinator before being a head coach, which I would argue being a special teams coordinator might actually prepare you better for being a head coach than any other coordinating position there is.
So then it wouldn't be the low.
It's considered
so it's a
the
feeder
lowest
position then.
I think we got to explain this take that Domonique has, which I will take as a compliment.
I don't think it's not a feeder. People don't think of the special teams coordinator as a feeder situation, but it's the classic jobs theory of the way you look at hiring is that I think that the job of an offensive coordinator is frankly very separated from the players, and to coordinate the offense, and the job of defensive coordinator is the same thing. It's very much in the scheme and complications of a play-to-play basis, and you're very focused on your quarterback and a couple players on defense. Whereas I think the special teams coordinator is more of a management position because there aren't but so many special teams scheme advantage that you can generate, and you're also required to communicate with the entire team. And honestly, special teams is something that very few players want to do. So you have to find ways. So I think that what you are practicing is more management skill than scheme skill. And I think being a head coach oftentimes involves more management. And coaches who fail, I think it's because they're like, I'm an offensive mastermind. We're going to win because we out-scheme everyone. And you just can't continuously maintain that.
Do you think it's going to change now with the new kickoff rules? Is the special teams coordinator, are they devising? I pictured this offseason, the coordinators are all devising these crazy formations for the new kickoff rules. Am I just imagining and dreaming, and you're saying that it's going to look exactly like it did last year?
No, it'll look different because they'll actually have some returns now. But the thing about special teams is it's really hard to make it. You don't get much time in practice, and it's really hard to make new, innovative ways to do things in the short time you get in practice and given the rule constraints. So, special teams, it's like return right, return left, return middle. We get real freaky and throw a reverse.
So it's like Madden.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah, we might throw a reverse in there.
But when that fake punt happens.
Oh, yeah. And then it fails, and you get fired.
Who do you think invented the special part of special teams? That what branding?
Who's on it? Somebody got to get on it.
You could GTS, but I always viewed Google that. But I think that it's special teams to me. The reason why it's special is it's not part of the normal game. It's just a special thing that happens every once in a while.
What's the part of a baseball team, David, that you think is the most disrespected but the most underrated?
The people who teach base running, or base running instructors, are not taken seriously, and base running matters so much.
That's right. It's gone downhill, too.
It's insane. People don't know how to do it. Ichiro, when he was active with us, would try to teach base running to anyone who would listen. And the most important part of base running is how to get your secondary lead. And it blows my mind that professionals, these are professionals, they don't know how to get a secondary lead or how to base run or where to be. And it's one of the things that I tried to effectuate change, failed. One of the many things.
I'm not a baseball enthusiast, but I would say the most important and underrated position on a baseball team is probably the bat boys and ball boys, because they maintain the locker room enthusiasm and happiness and joy.
Yeah, I agree.
They don't actually. Yeah, I know he said that on the show this week, but that's not accurate. Their job is not to be the court jester.
I'm not talking about what Nick said.
Their job is to wash jocks.
I'm saying my opinion. And
among other things.
Hold on, clean jocks are very important.
Fill up bubblegum buckets.
Clean dugouts.
I had a friend that was a bat boy.
D-mud spikes.
You're making my point. It's like these are a lot of things that matter quite a bit but get underappreciated. I think that that's a role that you should protect and shouldn't fire over frivolous behaviors. That's all.
Certainly not cost a pension.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to cost anybody a pension.
Can we let that pass now? What's the number of days where we can then tell people that they don't get pensions at 10 years? That's players. When do you want to do that?
Are you
Not yet.
accusing Nick Cirillo of lying?
No, not at all. Nick and I had a side dish.
Oh, a side dish?
What's it? Whatever.
Chat?
Side chat. Thank you.
There we go.
Side chat. He was very happy.
Quite the journey that was.
That was a journey. Thank you, Coca. Brad. The journey was that he was very happy to have been on the show and to relive that great moment in time.
But what about the benefits?
He misses those.
Yeah. Definitely misses his dream. Do you think the audience is mad that we haven't really talked about the Heat this week?
Opposite, right?
No, they're not. They're not upset, I promise.
Heat fans are not upset?
I mean, Heat... No. That's a separate conversation. The audience is happy that we have not spoken about the Heat. Trust me, from experience, they don't want to hear it.
Well, I think there's got to be Florida sports fatigue after the Heat and Panthers and the Heat of the last 8 years and the Panthers of the last 2 years.
They were so tired from being so good.
Yeah, I don't think it's that the fatigue is the issue. I think the people who talk about the Heat on the show may be the issue.
Yeah.
I think it's the subject, not the people. I think Mike, Jeremy, Billy talking Marlins. I think there's a whole national audience that does not view South Florida sports the way the room does sometimes.
100% accurate.
So
Sometimes, huh?
maybe
Why my Marlins updates are few and far between.
Well, you've had nothing to update, though.
No, exactly.
The trade deadline's coming.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing my Jazz shirt while I still can, because it
Does
seems like
the
Jazz
audience-
is on the way out.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's an awesome question. Do you not wear shirts once the player's been traded?
Oh, I have no
because then you have
option.
no shirts.
David, exactly.
So you
You're
can't do
very
that.
well of the history of this organization. You know that I can.
So why did you just say you can't wear the Jazz shirt
Well, I'm
again?
wearing it currently while he's still on the team, but it seems as though reports have said he's on his way out. So
I don't think anyone's going to trade for him.
you know, I don't know about that.
Wait to
Does the
see.
audience appreciate it when it is negative Miami sports news?
They love it.
They love. So then this should be a great time right now because Zach LaVine is the best y'all can do, maybe, right?
I mean, right now it looks like the Heat are planning to essentially run it back with just about the same roster. No Caleb Martin, who's now in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And that contract situation was really interesting. But the Miami Heat are where they are. And now you look at what players might be available over the next couple of months. It's Brandon Ingram, it's Zach LaVine, it's players like that.
As someone who ran back mediocrity, which I did constantly, it doesn't work well.
Your shows were fine this week, David.
I think I overheard you, Jeremy, trying to convince yourself that Zach LaVine is a piece worth building around.
I do think that Zach LaVine, his perception in the national media, I think, is interesting. I saw an article yesterday, I believe it was Stephen Coe who put it out there, that, and I'll look for the specific stat, but when it comes to Zach LaVine, he's been surrounded by bad players for his entire career. The one knock that you can have on him that's entirely fair is he hasn't always been available. But he's someone who had 6 coaches in 10 years.
He'll fit right in here.
5 coaches in his first 6 years, including Fred Hoiberg for a couple of those. 72 of his 101 teammates, 72 of the 101 players he's ever played with are now out of the league entirely, which is pretty high for a guy who's not even 30 years old quite yet. And I just think that the perception around him is really interesting because right now it seems as though Chicago will end up having to attach picks to get off of his contract. And for a team, whether it's the Lakers, who are desperate to acquire more talent, maybe Miami, who might be interested in acquiring another scorer, if you can acquire assets along with a talented player like Zach LaVine, I do think that this perception of him being a waste of a contract, depending on where your team is situated, is maybe faulty.
What an annoying stat that must have been to look up. All his teammates and who's still in the league. God, I just imagine somebody like, I got to find something that boosts Zach LaVine here. And just Googling rosters and like, where are they now?
Yeah, it turns out
it seems very tedious.
Turns out Zach LaVine is a human version of that video from The Ring.
I like that you obviously are like after the debate, they have like a spin room where you go and everyone tries to spin how their candidate is better than you actually believe it is.
We didn't really do it this time though. Anyways.
Why is Pablo being so much like Stu today? I'm very confused
What do you mean,
by
buddy?
the seating. You keep interjecting with like grunts and one-word jokes and Yeah. It's very
spackling.
Yes. It's
It's
very
needed, though.
Stu-like. I'm not sure.
So-
Is it because of the vibe? You're just
No,
are you down?
there are positions and roles that somebody got to set picks, somebody got to get rebounds, got to inbound the ball, and right now he is providing some of the spackling that's needed. Man, it's awesome when we have to teach you how to do the show in the middle of the show.
I'm not sure that's exactly what's being taught here. So just to put a button on the Heat, if you don't mind, what I read this week that can't be true, that there's more whispering going on. And it was so
You wanna
loud that
switch,
I
Domonique?
heard it.
Yeah, let's do it.
What did you read, David?
Did he take less money with the Sixers?
Yeah, so what happened
Is that
there?
really true?
What happened there is Caleb Martin was offered an extension by the Miami Heat that would have ultimately equaled 5 years, $65 million, is the report. They were asking Caleb to opt into his player option this year at $7 million and offering a 4-year extension from there.
But not a Harden situation where you promise the extension and then don't give it. The extension would be given
Opt
at
in
the same
and then
time.
sign the
But
extension.
immediate.
That's what the reporting has suggested. I don't know that for sure. The reporting has suggested, hey, opt in and then sign this extension. It seemed
And so
as though
he said, I don't want to do that. I'll take
Yeah.
$30 million less.
Well, what his agent and he calculated was out on the market, he would be able to get more than that. That was their assumption, was that he would be able to get more than $65 million over 5 years. Caleb Martin, who had his moments in the postseason, is just approaching his prime now. That was the calculation they made. I didn't know at the time, and I think many Heat fans didn't know, that extension was offered to Caleb. It seems like a major miscalculation by him and his agent, where ultimately he ended up coming to Philadelphia for 4 years, $32 million, which is, literally half of what
he
he
fire
would have
his
made
agent
over
yet?
5 years. I haven't seen that. I don't know if he has. I don't know if he will. He said really glowing things thus far about wanting to be in Philadelphia and, the
What's he gonna
culture that
say?
they have, whatever. Obviously, that's all he's going to be able to say now
Did
that
he say
he's signed
culture
there.
specifically?
He said winning. I don't think he said
That would be a
winning
troll.
culture. He said winning something.
You guys don't own the word culture.
I think-
like,
yeah, what
Juju
are
said,
we doing
let's
here?
stop it. Every press conference that any new coach gets hired is going to say,
all
we're going to
culture.
install culture.
Caleb
word.
Martin, quote, being part of that winning
Yeah.
culture and something bigger than yourself is something that draws you in.
Which is pretty funny because Sixers don't.
That's
win
an
anymore.
FU to Riley and the Heat. Why
No,
would he
it's
do
not.
that?
No,
it
it's
sort of
not.
sounds like it.
I get what you're
He's also, by the way, been saying the word culture in every single interview for years and years now with the Miami Heat. So that word is just ingrained in you. I don't personally think that Caleb was trying to take a shot.
Isn't Heat culture just LeBron?
Oh, God, you're exhausting. You and Taylor.
and 2 finals appearances
Yeah,
since he left.
and their
I
finals
feel like
win
you guys
before
know
that.
those were flukes.
Okay.
They were not.
I love
Okay.
how Wizards fans and Knicks fans are like, all you guys do is win with LeBron, and we've done way more after LeBron than any of those
With
franchises.
players that
Wizards
they didn't even
fans
want.
do
Well,
that?
Well, that's
Charlie's a
Charlie.
Wizard fan.
You are a Wizards fan?
Oh, yeah.
Are you an Ernie Grunfeld fan?
Oh, are you kidding?
Ernie
Is that a
Grunfeld?
sentence anyone has ever said before?
Me.
Even as a question?
I love Ernie Grunfeld.
you grun gang?
Why?
He taught. Well, the Bernie and Ernie show from Tennessee is something that you should all remember. But Ernie Grunfeld taught me how to shoot free throws. That's the first thing. He has that bend in his body when he shoots his free throws, and he happens to be an amazing man.
Oh, I'm sure he's very, very nice. He was a terrible general manager. He was an abomination.
I'm not sure teaching David Sampson how to shoot free throws is the line I'd want near the top of my resume as basketball executive.
He ran several teams. He was a GM for way over a decade. Way over. I think he ran the Knicks. He ran the Wizards.
Forever.
I
You know when the last time the Wizards won 50 games?
15 years with Wes
The
Unseld?
1970s.
Wes Unseld and the Big E.
What I did not anticipate is that we're going to do Grunfeld and Wizards chat. Enough of that.
Do you remember the team he built? Nick Young, Andre Blatch, JaVale McGee.
I love those guys.
Exactly.
team
I
was a
agree,
blast.
Charlie, that the results were not what he would have liked, but I also agree that he was very good at running the team.
Enough of that. So, Jeremy, I would like you to tell Pablo what I heard you say about Pablo's best buddy and favorite GM in all of sports.
I'm
He's
just sick of
slanderous.
hearing that Daryl Morey's some sort of genius. I'm sick of it. I don't understand why we act like Daryl Morey is something high and mighty when he hasn't actually created a winning team even one time in his career.
What?
And I think it's really cool that he's able to operate in a space where there's a lack of salary cap, and then able to create something from nothing. I think that it's really cool that he punts on seasons to be able to create salary cap the following year to acquire players like
Do you
Paul
know how
George.
good Grunfeld was at Tennessee?
No way we're doing this.
There was a 30 for 30 on it.
Yes, there was.
You guys could do.
That's a big deal.
You guys could go do the Grun Gang show in another damn studio. We are not grunting
Domonique
over
has
here.
seized the chair, seized the microphone.
How did that happen? I looked toward this.
And he's living his dream
This is amazing.
of just having other people argue and therefore get to laugh at people because they love management.
He gaslit the show to be anti-management in his image. Oh, this GM sucks.
You're welcome. So this is you fed up. This is as angry as you get, Jeremy.
That's about it.
This is, quote,
I mean,
sick of it, Jeremy.
I'm not someone who gets really angry. I kind of just go with the flow. I'm happy to be here. I'm surrounded by friends. But yeah, I think Daryl Morey is incredibly overrated as a front office executive. I do. I think the way that we hype him up as a superhero of sorts is it doesn't make any sense to me. And I get he built something around James Harden that was, I guess you could consider successful, but they didn't win anything. And they played a brand of basketball that has only ruined the game aesthetically in the way that the 5-out now is. I mean, that's what Boston Celtics do. And I think aesthetically, no one is really enjoying the 5-out brand of basketball. It might win games for other teams. And then you look at the 76ers and they haven't done anything with him yet. I think the Paul George acquisition is a huge one for them. I do think that they will be better as a result of it. But prove it. Like,
I'll say
do
it
once.
Jeremy, I'll say it. He's no Andy Ellisberg. There. We said it.
Juju, are you worried about Jeremy's sickness? Is that one of the reasons also that you're back to
Jeremy
weight
sick?
a little bit?
Jeremy is sick.
No, I'm not sick. I'm fine. I'm back.
Last
I'm good.
week he was.
Bruh, y'all look.
I was sick
I
last
don't
week.
want you to get sick,
though.
Juju.
That would have been strike 5. But
I'm
nah,
good.
I'm not worried about nothing.
Yeah, I'm good. I promise.
I'm telling you, I'm vibing. I'm checking out my favorite show in the world. You dig me?
I love that. I just don't want you to get sick 'cause I know you fly a lot.
Good, I'm not
And
sick.
flying when you're sick is bad.
I would never show up to work sick.
Right. I got sick here one time. One of my coworkers got me sick. And
From the
that
front
was-
row.
Right. Literally from the front row. I was sitting right there and I got the big C.
You got the big C.
From the front row. So yeah, I have traumatic memories about
What did
this
you
front
think the
row
big
seat.
C was?
Never mind.
Moving on.
I'd like to talk to someone about what just came to my mind because I feel like that would
Maybe a therapist.
maybe a therapist.
I'm surprised, Pablo, you're not more offended. You're like Charlie, and Charlie is a dead fan on the inside, and you are like, because you would spring to the defense of Daryl Morey. He's like Billy Bean, right? He revolutionized the game and didn't win a championship.
I just can't get my hackles raised by somebody who just spent like 5 minutes wish casting for Zach LaVine, telling me how the guy who runs the team that I care about, which is, again, a real dicey proposition, admittedly, just keeps on getting stars. I'm sorry. I thought the whole point of running a basketball team was to get the players that you want to watch.
It was to win.
No, what?
No, the point of running a basketball team is to win championship.
Thank you, Juju.
I mean, sorry for cussing and mark that, but yeah, it was ridiculous what you just said.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How dare you?
It's just about star acquisition. That's it.
I
It's
wanna
not about
watch
winning.
good players.
Literally, the Heat's plan every offseason
So-
star acquisition.
No, but it's not. I mean, it's not what they've done the last several years.
Because
They've
they
been
haven't
able to
been
win.
able to.
No, they've won with all the players that they've developed. They acquired a star. They built around that. They drafted 2 guys to put around him. I mean, look. I think that star acquisition is obviously every team's
No, I heard
goal,
you guys say that it
talent
didn't matter.
acquisition.
Those
No,
things don't
hold
want
on a
stars,
second.
actually.
It matters.
That's not what
I
he said.
just praised
like you said it.
I
Nope.
just praised acquiring Paul George. I just said that it's an important thing to acquire talent. But there's a difference between just acquiring talent for talent's sake and surrounding it by the same 8 role players in every organization that you go to and winning a bunch of regular season games and then getting to the postseason and flaming out because you, as Charlie so eloquently put it yesterday, I believe, what is it, fetishize foul merchants?
Foul grifters. but
Foul grifters. Same sort of
same
deal.
thing.
Because you try to break the game and cheat the game. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we praise that as some sort of genius when it's honestly, like Dom said, Billy Bean. It's the same sort of equivalency of a guy who did something different. That's cool, but it didn't ultimately lead to anything.
It wasn't that different, Jeremy. He just has the greatest PR next to Jeter of anyone in the sport.
Sure, but
Billy
fine.
Bean?
Say the same
Yes.
thing about Daryl Morey then.
It's really staggering what Moneyball did.
A
for
movie
his,
helps.
The movie. I mean, having Brad Pitt play you is
Best-selling
Yeah, the
book's
Brad
pretty
Pitt part
good.
is a
the
huge
book
part
was
of it.
good, but I mean, your view of Billy Beane is funny. Like inside the industry, he's not viewed as the architect of brilliance. That he did something so out of the ordinary.
But
Other teams were doing it, and he also had an amazing young pitching staff and an MVP. When all that Moneyball stuff
Miguel
was
Tejada,
going on.
baby.
Miguel
Can't
Tejada.
forget Miguel Tejada.
They do.
Gotta be honest with you. Just sounds like hate.
No.
Sound like a bunch of haters.
No.
Him, Barry Zito, Mark
like a bunch of-
Mulder,
None
Tim
of them-
Hudson.
none
They're
of
all
them-
not in the movie.
Not in the
Yeah,
movie.
it's crazy.
Sound like a bunch of haters to me. I mean, I think anyone who's had any type of success has been somewhat innovative and somewhat lucky. So, like, you're saying that some of these players he got was lucky.
No, I didn't say that at all.
Or, well, they're not attributable to his Moneyball strategy, right?
The Moneyball theory is where you're extracting value
Right.
where no one else sees value.
Got it.
He had the most overperforming pitchers in the game and the MVP of the whole league on his team. So he did a great job getting those. That is fantastic. But we've had rotations like that and won 2 World
Yeah,
Series.
those 03 Marlins. It's
Okay,
kind of
so
similar, honestly.
these Miami mother were like, we're going to reverse engineer based on the titles we won, how our philosophy is the philosophy.
Yes.
And anybody who seeks
It's not
to
reverse
outsmart
engineering.
other people
It is.
is stupid because the results invalidate the process, to me, is insane.
I'm a consequentialist.
Exactly what's insane about this whole thing is that you're trying to use results to then say, you know what, it was culture. It was culture. And Caleb Martin can say
No, it was
culture.
overperforming players, not culture. As a matter of fact, our players didn't even like each other nor their manager. So it really was not about that at all. I would say that you and the Sixers, the irrational part of it is that you say you like stars, and this always pissed me off in a very significant way. You want stars that you like to watch, but teams that don't win? How does that
Again, this
even
is the
make sense?
consequentialism.
He's a New
of
Yorker.
how dare you? How dare you cut to the core of me? You didn't win, and therefore you don't like winning is insane.
No, you didn't win, therefore you're okay with just star acquisition.
So
That's what I said.
I want to make clear what my take was and why it was so hot. I said the point of being the general manager of a sports team is to get star players.
And it's not. It's really not.
I'm sorry. The hardest thing to do in professional basketball is to get enough of the star players so that historically you can be a team that wins a title. Star players happen to be the ones that I want to watch. I don't want to watch the Miami Heat's band of retconned culture warriors. I want to watch Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey.
Put Daryl Morey's rings in the box and put Bob Myers' rings in the box. 0-4.
That'd be a very clanky box for Myers and a very quiet place, part 2 for Morey.
Myers acquired Durant, so it's not really. He did acquire a star. to get
That's
two more
not
of them.
his legacy.
That's Warriors culture.
Do
And
not
Jerry
make
West
that.
was the one who said, "Don't trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love."
Yeah.
It said he would quit the organization if he did. I don't know if that's really on Bob Myers.
But it equaled the championship. However you got there,
Yeah.
they was getting champagne poured on them in the locker rooms. So whatever you got to do, Daryl Morey, just put it together for the people of Philadelphia. Bruh, you know what? I'm tired of seeing Philadelphia as losers, dog. I got a lot of bearded brothers in Philly, Muslim brothers in Philly that deserve a win, bruh. Come on, Daryl Morey, get it together.
They could get it with the Phillies. Would that count?
It most definitely would count.
Yeah.
The same way the Florida Panthers hockey
Exactly.
Stanley Cup should count more. I think we're still supposed to be spraying champagne. You feel me? Salute, though.
I'd love if we. Did you guys spray in here?
Not in here, no.
That would have been fun.
Very
Clip that.
expensive equipment.
Did you spray in here? Thank you.
That would have been fun.
It's always fun. I think that the Phillies are the best team in baseball, and the Dodgers keep getting all the attention.
Look what you've done,
The
Domonique.
O's are the best team in baseball.
You've gotten us all the way to baseball talk.
This is called steering this ship.
Leadership from the main seat. He's been great
What
today.
is this alliance that is formed?
It's
I'm
not a-
saying
I mean,
that
it's a two-
Dominique
I don't
has
like this.
led this show today like a champion, and you have been a straight sidekick.
Couple of
That's
honest
it.
bros. Couple of
How
honest
dare
bros.
you?
I mean,
Why,
nothing-
you're offended
are
by
you
being a
offended?
How
sidekick?
dare you?
Are you offended by this? What
Wow.
part of that are you offended by?
Both somehow. Somehow the first part sounds more pejorative than the second.
Your ego
And
is directly
unalloyed.
correlated to your head count.
Oh, this is about my staff. This is about.
Gotcha.
about my
Okay,
show.
I didn't know
Pablo
what
Torre
you're
finds
talking about. I was
Great
like,
episode yesterday.
Excuse
by the way.
me,
You should listen
brother.
to it, please. Like and
Pablo Torre
subscribe.
finds out. You forgot your paper again.
I know.
Are you done promoting that part of yourself?
Guys, I'm tired.
That's really why you forgot your paper?
It's been a hard week for me.
How come? Not taking care of the baby, or
I forgot to sleep with the CPAP machine again last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Why does
We
this
gotta
keep
put
happening?
that hustle back in Pablo some kind of way, bro.
Dude, I stopped with my contacts in.
accolades now. You need to bring that paper
go.
and keep the hustle for the people who work under you, bro.
Pep
Your
talk.
team is dependent on you, and you come in here tired. Nah, Pablo Torre finds out, and the crew, they are not tired. They're on top of the charts right now, bro. So act like it.
boom.
That's leadership.
You know
right
what?
there.
Juju just gave me a motivational speech holding a tiny Larry O'Brien trophy, and it worked.
It did.
I'd like you to put a piece of paper on your computer. People are depending on you. 24 people
gonna let him
are
do this,
depending on
Domonique?
you.
What do you want me to do?
He's got the most head count of anyone at Metal Arc. It's
That is not true.
It's totally
Big budget too. For
The
my
budget
God.
is absurd.
Oh, with a Z. I like that.
That's how bad it is.
He has more than our show?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
100%.
It's
What?
You remember earlier in this
Can't even.
segment when I pointed at David Sampson and said he's a hater and nobody had my back? This is hate 101 right here. This is hate 101.
this is
hate, hate.
I think that you confuse hate and jealousy.
That's
Wait, is one better than the other?
So you're jealous.
Totally jealous. But it's not hatred. I love you, Pablo. And I love your staff, and I love you. I legitimately
There's
love
so
you.
many of them, though. There's got to be someone you don't like on that staff.
No, they
A lot of
happen
people
to
to
all
love.
be amazing.
Do you know all their names?
No.
Pablo, do you?
Of course he does. We're not going to do that to my guy.
Name your entire
course
staff
I
right now.
do.
It's a more colloquial
course I
use
do.
of hate. Like, I don't actually mean you actually hate him. It's just like you being a hater. So, like, when someone has some level of success, rather than celebrating their success, or you find ways to
I want to get this down.
find ways to undercut it and explain it away and say it's not their success. So, like,
Yes,
rather,
Domonique, I'm a hater.
yeah. So rather than saying Pablo produces a great show, you're like, he had a lot of money and a lot of help. Like, that's
I want
hate.
to thank my staff right now. Okay.
All right.
First off, I want to really express appreciation for my favorite producer of all.
No reading. Close
Brad.
Also great, this editor who I rely on every day.
Brad.
Followed by our line producer, helps with the budgets.
Brad.
And who can forget?
Brad.
And
Is that the one where you squeeze the nipple? And you're not going to play the white guy one? It's outrageous.
It was white boys, I think, to be fair.
I don't think he said white boys.
I think he did. Didn't you say
Yeah, he
that?
did say boys.
we don't have to relitigate that
I'll
one.
make this more about me now. Zerbia.
That is Serbia.
Do you know what I don't ever do? Is root against anyone to succeed. Because other than the local teams in the market, when you're running one of the local teams in the market, but once you're out of that business, like in this industry,
Did you just catch yourself realizing
Yeah,
that
that-
your entire life you had done the very thing you say you were not doing?
that
now?
was a part of my life where I've changed completely since then. I want your show and Dan's show and your show and everyone I'm associated with to be great because it will make my show greater.
Is this one of your like every month should be Black History Month takes, or is this a different?
No, it's
genre of
totally
take?
different. It's about how much I root for everybody. Where I wasn't used to that. I didn't feel I was on a
So
team.
what changed? Let me put on my Dan
Hold on.
glasses.
Hold on.
We're gonna do some.
You're president of a sports team and you felt separated from that? You said I've never felt like I was on a team.
A player on a team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Now you feel
I'd be
like,
in the clubhouse, but being a player, and I was on teams. I was on the track team.
Oh, what events?
I did the hurdles.
Did Ernie Grunfeld teach you how to hurdle?
No. I learned how to hurdle because there was no one else who would do it, and that's how I got on varsity track. And I needed a varsity sports letter to put on my college application, and so I did track. And I wasn't good, but I was willing to do it. I went to practice every. What does that mean? Go screw yourself.
What? Why would I do that? What is
The
wrong?
answer is that I
Oh,
worked
thought
hard.
you changed, brother.
Man,
I was just
jeez.
I came to the mic to salute you for change, and then you
Yeah.
stage go screw yourself. Damn
Well,
it.
because that was so mean to me, Juju.
What? Are
You
you
said I'm
talking-
not athletic.
Oh yeah, go screw yourself.
Did I say that? Juju, did I say I wasn't athletic?
Everybody knows that an approximately 65-inch long person is really, really good at a sport that involves jumping over hurdles that may or may not be about that high.
I just was surprised.
Save my sack, though.
You know why I'm smiling, Pablo? Football season's almost here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You know why that makes me happy? Everyone's life gets so much happier and easier. And you know how I know football season's almost here? Because we got quarterbacks on whiteboards and hard knocks. Listen to my man Drake May get me fired up for football season.
Gundolphin right.
Gundolphin right, 72, Tundra, float, H angle.
Gundolphin right, 72, Tundra, float, H angle.
Yeah, so Tundra stands for what?
200s.
200s, and what does float stand for?
It's got the corner of the out. And
Flag, we call it a flag, so I mean, we end up saying corner flag, but it's
Flag
flag.
with the
So
out,
flag,
and
and the
then
angle
angle.
is an angle. You got me on that?
Easy stuff.
Then you use Rita to the right, Linda to the left. It was a flip formation. Good?
Rita to the right, Linda to the left.
72, 5-man protection, slide to the will. So if the strength of the formation is right, what formation is that again?
Yeah, Gundolphin right.
Yeah, right. He's there. The will's over there. The line would slide there. We'd say 72 Rita.
72 Rita. Gotcha.
Oh, look at everybody's
This is like
fired up.
foreplay.
Oh,
I
was getting
hate this entire genre.
Hold on.
Of video, of person, of cultural trend.
What is wrong with you? How could you not appreciate that?
All we just heard was a bunch of jargon that 99% of the audience has no idea what it means at all.
And you don't have to understand it to enjoy it. You don't a Gundolphin right don't get you fired up. You are not American, my friend.
This Spider 2Y banana shit.
We call that a post. Oh, yeah, easy. No problem.
yeah,
no problem.
Yeah.
Little corner, little flag. Oh, yeah.
We're just
Gundolphin,
gonna say vocabulary words that no one
Tundra?
understands. Dude,
Rita, Liz, Rip.
We're not even at the
Lindsay?
MLB All-Star break. You got to still be in base. You can't be in football mode yet. Billy, I need you here so badly.
David, you have
We
to
can't be in
understand
football mode.
what's happened to American sports. Not only has football overtaken the entire calendar, but football players being nerds.
Oh.
What happened? Why are football players coming for my corner?
That's why. You're jealous, huh?
But they're not even doing anything that
not a
anybody
hater.
understands in the least.
You're so
I don't even know if
inconsistent.
Drake May, if his ability to do any of that is going to translate to actually being good at quarterback. And so here is this whole like American Idol contest of can you say the most amount of just bullshit that I presume is really something.
But that's the point. It's not bullshit. Just because you don't understand
But
it.
for
doesn't-
everybody else, Domonique,
I saw
it's
a
like
video.
watching someone speak a language and be like, yeah, that's
No, but for Domonique,
Very
he's
impressive.
excited because what that means to him is it's almost football season, which means that he's got plenty to talk about and his life gets easier and it's the love of his life. I mean, absent family, etc. But football's the love of his life. For me, I look at that video and I'm despondent beyond repair. The fact that we're going to talk about that when we could be talking so many things in baseball. We have so many other interesting things to talk about. Having
See,
Drake
I think
May.
I realize what happened is baseball's a dumb man's game and football's a smart man's game.
I was just about to ask,
I cannot believe
And this
football's
makes
getting
you-
away with
And
this.
this makes you upset because you're like, obviously, hit ball, bat, run base.
Right.
And that is all you don't got no Gundolphin right. You ain't got a Gundolphin right nowhere near. It's like, you know the most intricate thing we could do? Base running. And y'all be messing that up. I saw somebody last week, a guy on second base ran past the guy on first base. Come on, dum-dums.
No, you got to practice the third base coach giving the signs.
Yeah.
What is this? What's this? What are
Nothing.
we doing
Yeah,
here?
there's an indicator. Wait, we don't have to do this. We don't spend our life doing this.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Taking
want
shots.
to do that.
And you're
You do
somehow.
that with a glove, though.
No,
like
we
they
just
put
do it
a
with
glove
our
in their
glove.
face. Yeah.
Can I say this has been one of the great magic tricks of football media over the last
Thank
decade?
you.
Which is saying that like if you can't identify coverages or know what the play is, you don't understand ball. You don't know ball. You don't know how good XYZ player is if you aren't looking at their air yards per attempt or their EPA per play. No, we know. We watch the same football on Sunday as you do, Domonique.
No, see, you've made a leap. You put me in a category where I'm saying that no one can appreciate football unless you appreciate it on the levels that someone else appreciates.
Yeah,
it.
I was gaslighting you.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that is objectively awesome. That's all. And I'm saying that if you can break our cheating scandals involve Spygate. That's a cheating scandal.
Deflategate.
Deflategate, also a cheating scandal, but I'm saying that Spygate required extensive video footage review. You guys bang trash cans, dummies.
But hold on. The whole thing of every football scandal, actually, even Deflategate.
Fastball.
It's actually for spin.
Spin.
Even
remedial ass.
Even Deflategate wore the costume of science.
Give me
the ideal gas law.
True. Give me a weekend, in a good book, and I can manage a baseball team. It ain't that hard, and you're mad at me because your game is a dumb.
I'm not a hater.
You're jealous.
I'm definitely not jealous of you.
You're not jealous of football?
Oh, I said I'm not jealous of you.
Oh.
I am jealous that people are interested in that drivel.
I feel like right now, speaking of gaslighting, you guys are gaslighting me into thinking that I'm the only one. This is awesome. And whether you understand it or not, I saw a guy on Instagram a couple of days ago juggling 3 Rubik's Cubes while solving them. I don't know how he did it, but it was cool as shit. That's the same thing. Why can't y'all just watch this and say, this is cool as shit?
Everyone can relate to juggling a Rubik's Cube and solving it while juggling.
Ooh, hold up. Check him out. Juju is currently patting his head while rubbing his belly, and that is hella impressive. Anybody else? Can anybody else do
Billy,
that?
God bless football. God bless football.
Yeah.
You need football content.
Yeah.
Do you look at that and say this is the content we love?
I look at that and I say we're probably not allowed to play that, so I'm not going to address that.
Oh, Wemby out here juggling. I do love a juggler. Wemby did have some great juggles.
That was a little EPVEP situation. I'm not convinced we were allowed to play the Gundy stuff either.
Why
but
are you
we can talk about that later.
You don't have to cover any of it.
I just want to know. I want to get back to your hatred. So let's figure out what your hatred or jealousy is based on. You already said it. It's because you fancy yourself, like your greatest asset is I'm a nerd, and you don't like that someone else is nerding in an area in which you can't nerd.
I think the pendulum has swung so far away.
Did it swing too, or it only sung?
It swung
and sang
and
be a good teammate, Domonique. Don't point out
and made the sound.
Clip it.
God damn it! I have coffee. I got coffee in between segments.
You don't have someone on your staff to do that?
How much time did Jesse spend on your under eyes?
What?
Jesse spends 2 to 4 minutes on mine every morning. I wake up.
Jesse, our makeup person, for those who aren't on the know.
Right.
She's the best. She's awesome.
Woman.
Love
She's
her.
unbelievable. I mean, look what she does to me and to all of us, but I've got very big pieces of luggage under my eyes. You look great. You look great, Pablo. You don't look tired at all.
I feel like I want to go home right now.
Can I say that I'm a backup part of the Zach Edey hive? The other day I let these folks bully me off of my mountain, and I was like, I love Zach Edey, and it was like, brother, you are tripping. And I was like, okay, guys, I want to be your friend. But I saw something in Zach Edey that I love. It wasn't the 15, 16 rebounds. It wasn't the points.
Was he saying 90,000 basketball terms that no one could understand, but were apparently very smart for basketball people?
What was it? No.
What was it?
Don't do me like that. It was whenever he had the back of his teammates. His teammate JJ got fouled and got kind of tried, and Zach pulled up and nah, bro, I'm ready. And this is the summer league, so imagine when he get next to Ja Wick. You feel me? Like, bro, it is gonna, bro. Zach Edey, I apologize to the Zach Edey hive. I jumped off and I'm back on pause. I'm right back in here. I love y'all.
He also sets a hell of a screen.
He also can touch the rim and the floor at the same time. Did anyone see that picture?
That's a real baseball
That
thing
was
to
not
observe.
a hatred. That was a jealousy thing.
Yeah.
He was able. Do we have that?
Yeah, let's show this video of Zach coming off a screen and dunking on people.
Noted giant Asian
look
Zach
at
Edey.
Yum. Yeah, I mean, big guys dunking, never fun. Like, Shaq's the only big guy dunking that's, I guess, Dwight Howard, too.
I found it very uncomfortable when LeBron James was guarding Jeff Van Gundy.
Uncomfortable?
It was awesome.
I did.
Oh, it was
At
hilarious.
Team USA.
Yeah, the Team USA
Why was
practice.
uncomfortable about it?
It felt wrong to me.
Let's explore
It felt
this.
like Jeff Van Gundy was trying to prove a point, but it's like LeBron James, because of the size issue and the age issue, it just looked off. And it felt like Jeff Van Gundy was doing too much coaching.
You sure that was the only problem you had with it?
Don't. What?
We got it here on the screen for
It
people
is
who
a
haven't seen
very
it.
funny visual.
I just asked you, sure?
So Jeff Van Gundy is around 67 inches, and LeBron James is not.
Well played.
So
Let's see if LeBron can stay with him.
what is he?
Gotta switch that. You gotta switch that. You gotta switch that. It is great. Watching him run is awesome.
I mean, the Van Gundy brothers, you've seen the video of Stan.
Oh, yeah, he got
Oh,
handles.
you got to go over that
Stan's
screen.
handles.
Yeah, Jeff, obviously, if he's on the floor, he can shoot. You got to go over that screen. You can't. A man like that is not on the floor unless you have to go over his screens. I do have a question about his hair.
Yeah.
It's
The bowl
choice.
haircut. The bowl.
do you get that shaped up? Because that line is sharp.
I feel like he'd look good if he just came home.
I don't think that he would look any different from the front, at least.
I
It's like
find
they
this
told
video.
Paul Feinbaum on the College Game Day show. They were like, he just go to the barber and tell him to hit the sides.
Hey, that's all you can hit sometimes.
No, I think he gets it tightened up. He get a line there. Yeah, I think, right. He get a little line. That's too clean. There's no strays or nothing. He getting the line.
Hit the razor blade
Yeah,
after.
he back there
What
like,
if Jeff Van Gundy started getting a little lightning bolt on the side?
I like that. That's a good move.
As long as it's not two.
Yeah, that'd be a
Salute
problem.
the Black History Month.
Yeah, shout out.
We should have it, by the way.
All months.
12 months of it.
Nah, that's the scam. That's how y'all trick us.
I think that video is way more compelling than watching some guy talk about flash right.
we never
go
got-
red.
Can I express an observation about how we've evolved at talking about sports? Because we've gotten to a point where jargon, where being confusing and extremely technical has become mainstream. And I just want to know when we decided this was a thing.
You're back to your nerd. You feel like when we're too smart, that bothers you because then the difference between us and you is diminished?
I am simply fascinated that there is one form of nerdery that everybody seems to be really into, and they recognize this kind of sophistication that only a real genius could know is something that plays as both brilliant athletically and academically, even though nobody who is saying, look how smart this guy is, knows anything about the formula that he's solving.
This feels a lot like maybe Dirk Nowitzki being mad that Kevin Durant is here. It's like, you're a nerd that came to sports, and now you're like, sports are too nerdy. What are you talking about?
This is all your fault, Pablo.
I'm going back to being just a kid out there, guys. I'm pivoting.
No, you're
Deeply
not.
underrated.
Your ego is way too
Deeply-
big.
As you cape up for Daryl Morey.
How dare you? How dare you call me out on a reasonable hypocrisy? The Dan Marino school of gunslinger, the Brett Favre school of gunslinger. I just feel like we've gotten to a point where, and I think Dan Orlovsky is really good at what he does. I think he's the guy who's probably the best at the telestration and the breaking down and the dissection. But it just feels like a lot of people nodding at something that they think they should be impressed by, as opposed to actually knowing what's happening. And we're getting away from the actual premise of like football players doing stuff on the field that is good.
It feels to me like you were someone in school who obviously did well in English class where you had to like evaluate a poem or break down the analysis in the book. Or a movie, for that case. David Sampson, you love movies.
I do.
So there are different levels for different people. So some people can see the allegory in a movie, in a book, and find that appealing, while other people can say, ooh, big explosion. It's fine if you big explosion guy. Don't get mad at us allegory bros. Relax, man. Just go watch people hit stuff and be happy.
I think it's also the thing that makes guys lovable for women. It's like, get you a guy that can do both. We see this man out there slaying dragons every day, and he also has a knowledgeable IQ.
There
you know what I mean? It's like seeing your favorite actor cry on stage. It's like, oh, dang, I'm with you, bro.
I think that's a reasonable parallel. I just think we fetishize
I know what it is.
jargon.
No, it's not fetishizing jargon. It's that it's the one thing that you thought you had that you thought we could never take from you. And we've taken that also, and it makes you uncomfortable.
So I think it's that, but I also think that it's about being cool. And when there's things going on that you don't understand, you want to pretend you understand, which is pretty much me during the show. I'm trying to understand stuff that I don't get. I'm trying to be part of a group that I'm clearly on the outside of.
You did try to freestyle yesterday, to your credit.
I tried to do that.
You were awesome, too.
That was great.
So there are people who will pretend they get what they're hearing when they don't, and they should not be made fun of. They should be understood as making an effort to be included in something.
My point is, you can enjoy it without understanding it.
This video only slaps in July.
So-
if this was week 3, we'd be like, this is nothing.
Exactly.
Well, when
Right
you
now,
watch the
we are
show-
just fiending for anything football.
How about this? You listen to, this happens to me now at 41. I listen to hip hop music, and I'm like, that goes. You ask me what half of the slang in it means? I don't know, but that's all right. Shit sound cool. So why can't you just look at this and be like, hey, shit sound cool? Because you know it does. You hater.
Are you comparing Drake May to someone get him in here and give me a young rapper that I can reference?
I
to fulfill
knew
this
that was happening. He
analogy?
needed help. He needed producing right there. He had not one name, and that's why
You
I
were
wasn't
going to
even
say
gonna
some old
comment.
rappers? I mean, Drake
He
May.
was going Run DMC or something.
Oh, my gosh. I hope not. Drake May.
NBA YoungBoy. Drake May is the NBA YoungBoy.
Well,
of
NBA
quarterbacks.
YoungBoy, from what I understand, is like all his music is like really aggressive and like you don't want to mess with NBA YoungBoy. It's kind of like, or you're listening to that music. It's like modern day Knuck If You Buck. Like all his songs are Knuck If You Buck, right?
Is that?
I mean, we have
code-
someone
is that
here who
code for
actually,
sex?
no, Knuck If You Buck's a fight song.
Oh,
we have someone here who
Crime
actually.
mob ho.
You don't know. We got to teach you the
I've never
lyrics.
been
of
more
Knuck If You
proud
Buck.
of Billy in my entire life.
because Billy just knew Knuck What You Buck. Is it
Man,
Knuck What You Buck?
We could put a top 5 of white moments for David this week.
Yeah, we're
and it
gonna
would
clip
be,
that one,
man,
too.
The yesterday, I don't believe I'm good at that. The freestyling.
If you're anywhere
Totally true.
and Knuck If You Buck comes on, you better tighten your shoes and put your back against the wall because it's going down.
I love when they play rap songs at bar mitzvahs because
That's all they play.
It's a full group of just Jewish people jumping up and down thinking they know what Knuck What You Buck is, and none of us do.
I feel like my Drake May metaphor is really coming to fruition.
It's not a metaphor. It's real, man. It's
This-
more like a simile.
This is why you're great in that chair. Like you are first team all NBA side chair. Like, do your side chair bit. You balling in a side chair. You said Knuck What You Buck. You know how many people are laughing right now every time you say Knuck What You Buck? You can't Knuck What You Buck in this chair. This is not a Knuck What You Buck chair.
I'd like to sit in that chair.
But then you're not going to be able to Knuck What You Buck. You might have to Knuck
You
If You
can
Buck.
Knuck What You Buck. I want to sit in that chair.
Is it the
David, you
chair
supposed
or the actual seat or the position
Yeah,
that
we-
you
yeah,
want?
you can
You
have
can
the
switch
chair.
chairs.
Yeah.
So I did bring this up in an email that the chairs don't fit me.
Well, if you want to know a secret, Stugotz is a special chair. I think you're in the Stugotz special chair. I think they moved that chair over to where you're sitting.
Because I'm 65?
I think
Yep.
it's the 65 thing.
So I can't get it higher. The chair I like is one that I can get higher, but the leg rest moves higher with you because right now my feet can't touch the floor. So I'm incredibly uncomfortable.
Director just said in my ear, he for sure put that chair there because it's our highest chair for you. More cushion.
You want to put a garbage can?
He's
you
trying
can
to
put
help
your feet
you.
on?
I've been looking for some sort of stool to rest my. You don't have any idea what I'm talking about.
You don't like your feet to dangle?
I do not like my feet to dangle. It's very tiring. And these are you know how there's certain chairs that have a ledge on them.
Okay, so I just want to clarify David Sampson and the many contradictions of him. David Sampson is tired because his legs are dangling. David Sampson also once ran 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days.
Outrageous.
How are you the same person?
Knuck If You Buck.
Yes!
Bravo.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
Including Friday. Alone.
Not alone. With amazing people who are going to be here. Just because you're not here. The show will go on without you in the
Agreed.
captain's
It'll
chair.
be great. It's been great all week, and mainly because of you.
Mainly because you're in the chair.
No, I'm serious. Mainly because of you. I would like to finally put a bow on this conversation about film breakdown. Pablo, just admit that it's awesome and you're just jealous, and we can move on.
Make me learn how to study for like another
you don't have to
standardized test to follow football now.
You would love if life was a standardized test. If every
You know-
every
you know-
station
you know
in
who I
life
like-
you had to do
you
a
know who
standardized
I like-
test.
Successful.
He'd be so happy if he walked into his
be
first
rich,
first
famous.
date is like, here, standardized test. Give me that. Job, standardized test. You would be scanning, trying.
First thing they do for Survivor casting, you got to take an IQ test. That's how it starts.
What else did you have to do to get on Survivor?
A lot of shots, a lot of meetings with Jeff Probst and Mark Burnett, a lot of meetings with therapists.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
What were they checking for?
You know, mommy issues. The usual.
And
It's true. Can you be on an island for 39 days and not go crazy?
And so how did you overcome yours to get on the show?
Oh, I just lied. I pretended that I was totally normal and fine.
You lasted one day.
3 days.
Oh.
3 days. And then I had an amazing...
Look at this, man.
That was me on Survivor.
Was your tank top tattered before you got there and you wore it because you think you would blend in as tougher? Or did that happen on the island?
That was not on the island. Little known fact there, Normie. That is before shooting starts.
Did you just call me some curds and whey ass slur?
He's killing you today, man. He is on your ass. I love it.
That is our cast. That is why I'm on the Brains Tribe. The guy behind me was also on the Brains Tribe, but I'm not sure why. And by the way, that's Cliff Robinson's tummy.
Damn, that
The
dude
upper
behind you
right.
has them D'Angeloids.
Yeah.
He's a professional poker player. Oh. And he was on the Brains Tribe. And there's Cliff Robinson. Rest in peace. If you remember
R.I.P.,
Cliff Robinson.
Uncle Cliff.
Uncle Cliffy, the shrug Uncle Cliffy. One of the most amazing men. It was so great to be with him on Survivor and to have the relationship with him after. He was just love him. And unfortunately, he's passed now. But what an interesting group that is of people, just from all over. But none of them would be what you could have been on Survivor, any reality show, because your ability to take standardized tests, your ability to deal with jargon, you'd be a winner. You should go on a reality show.
I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
I think you should apply.
I don't think you should apply, but I do think you'd be good at it. It's because you like people.
I do. Just not the people in this room right now.
There's an unfair stigma for people that participate in reality TV. Like Mike White was on Survivor multiple times and Amazing Race, and then everyone
Not
thought
the
he was a
quarterback.
genius when White Lotus came out.
He had been doing stuff before he was on Survivor.
Yeah.
He's a very smart guy.
School of Rock.
School of Rock.
One of the greatest movies of our time.
Jack Black.
Speaking of school, today is camp day in the WNBA, bruh. Yeah. We got games starting at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Eastern time, and we got another one at 1, I think, where all the children of all the elementary schools pack out the arenas, bro. It's going to be so loud. Bro, I love camp day. Tune in if you at home. I know we live. I wanted to squeeze this in so we can get these ladies some numbers.
Do you know who doesn't love camp day?
Who that?
The players.
Nah, bro.
They don't like coming. They don't like playing that early.
Yeah, it's so early.
It's
but
an
the kids
early
bring
start.
so
The kids
much
love
energy.
it. Have you ever been to a camp day at Pro Player?
Oh, yeah.
Or at Marlo's
Back
Park?
in the day?
It was fun at Pro Player.
When you had that there's a sound that camp day has.
It's called annoying.
It's not exactly.
It was different though when it was at now Hard Rock Stadium, because then at least there was the open air. And so there wasn't just the sound of screaming children just echoing back at you, but
least
camp day
favorite
at,
day of
at
the
Lone
year.
Depot
But it was
Park.
also like for the Marlins, it was like the second most attended game
Right.
of the year.
That was it.
It was huge, but it was my worst time because every foul ball petrified me.
Oh, you're
Because the
thinking
kids aren't paying
lawsuits?
attention.
And every fly ball, every
kids-
single kid thinks is a home run.
Yes,
and it
they
just
cheer.
it by the fourth inning, you're like ready to die. It's
They all leave
insane.
early.
That
They
is
leave
pretty
the game
terrifying,
early.
the foul ball aspect, because there's no, usually in most crowds, there's like parents for every kid. And this one, it's like rows full of kids.
I love where your head's at. We would ask the camps and the schools to intersperse the adults so there was never more than 4 kids in a row, and we couldn't enforce it because the crowd was way too big. There were like 5,000 kids there. And so every foul ball, you're worried that a kid's going to get clocked.
The Marlins should hire us to snag foul balls during those games. We just stand in between sections, go out there with a glove, and snag fly balls.
Most lawyer I ever saw. You started talking about liability. He's like, I love where your head's at.
Knuck what you buck.
All right, Pablo, you've had some time. Oh!
Folks, we have breaking news from the world of basketball. Kawhi Leonard will not be playing for the USA basketball men's national team in the Olympics. That's according to USA Basketball. Shams Charania is reporting that Derek White will be his replacement on Team USA. So a third Celtic, not named Jaylen Brown.
That's wild. Why isn't Jaylen Brown playing?
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
I think
their best player.
And for the player that's leaving, like Jaylen Brown seems like a more appropriate replacement for Kawhi Leonard than White.
He's choosing the Clippers over the flag.
What is Jaylen Brown saying right now?
Thank God they didn't call me.
Zagaki, he probably at the house like, thank you, bro. I want to chill. I don't feel like going to Paris. I want to lay up.
The statement says from USA Basketball, Kawhi has been ramping up for the Olympics over the past several weeks and had a few strong practices in Las Vegas. He felt ready to compete. However, he respects that USA Basketball and the Clippers determined it's in his best interest to spend the remainder of the summer preparing for the upcoming season rather than participating in the Olympic Games in Paris.
Do you get a medal if you showed up for a few days and practiced?
No. It's not like a ring that you get, World Series ring, for getting a day of service time. I think you have to be on the team that goes to Paris.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard feels like one of those players that we're going to watch a highlight reel of in like 5 years and be like, oh, right, that guy, when he was healthy, was arguably as good as anybody in the entire sport.
Is he any better than Don Mattingly, Josh Johnson?
The guys that got hurt that at their peak were great. I think the difference is that Kawhi led multiple teams to championships and was the focal point of those teams in a way where he dominated on both ends that we really haven't seen in this iteration of basketball outside of like LeBron in terms of being a two-way player leading a team to a championship.
I know the Josh Johnson that you just referenced, but I feel like a lot of people are like, who's he talking about? He's talking about the Marlins pitcher who at his peak was dominant and then he got hurt, but I just don't think that's a Marlins I don't think the nation
That's a great blind spot.
I don't think
Thank
they
you.
know. Yeah.
I'm talking about
He was
players who are
spectacular.
hurt. I'm talking about players who do not hit their potential because they're hurt too much.
Maybe Steven Strasburg would actually be a better comparison
That's a
in
great
that
one,
he
Jeremy.
actually reached those peaks and was one of the most dominant pitchers for several years, but never quite got to be the Hall of Fame dominant pitcher that everybody anticipated. And will still be a Hall of Famer more likely than not.
Strasburg?
But maybe
No way.
just because of the peak. Well, it's different in the sport. Different
Kawhi
sport,
Leonard a
whatever.
Hall of Fame
He's a Hall of
basketball
Famer for
Absolutely.
sure.
Oh, Kawhi
Basketball's
Leonard
different though.
Is absolutely a Hall of Famer. He's also somebody who, again, in retrospect, we're going to realize, oh, that's why he was load managing.
Yep.
Like, that's why all of this happened, was because his knees were actually totally messed up, not because he was, afraid or lazy or didn't want to play 82 games.
The Kawhi thing's fascinating. He's going to be the person who's hurt the most by Basketball Reference when people look back at his stats in 20 years, because there was a legitimate period where you could argue he was best player in the NBA.
Yes.
There's going to be people, 2019, certainly.
Stop it, David.
There's also going to be people who watched it who are going to argue who is the second best forward of this generation. Was it Durant or was it Kawhi Leonard? And Durant will have every statistical accolade, and then our people, the people who complain about the back in my day, will be like, you didn't see it live.
Wait.
Kawhi was just as good.
But Durant is interesting to bring in this conversation because I also think like his career has been a little bit of an underachiever at this point. Like he's just moved around. Like other than when he was in Washington, he's never happy. He's an all-time great, but are we going to look at his career the way we look at other careers?
Golden State.
I know the
What'd I say?
Washington you speak of.
I meant Warriors.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, not Wizards. Grunfeld.
My bad. But other than that, like his career, it just feels like we think of him as outside of LeBron, the best of this generation, but it's just something feels off about his career.
He's one of the few players that I think, I made this point before on my show, is that he's one of the few players that I think has had an all-time great career, but also kind of feels a little disappointing. Like for that ability and that talent level, it's like we expected more, which it sounds stupid when you look at what he's accomplished, but you look at how talented he is. It's like,
It's like Brandon Roy and Derrick Rose. Like, dang.
Derrick Rose is a great one.
And Brandon Roy was
He's an
gonna be
MVP.
incredible.
I mean, does anyone care why exactly he's going home? Because the way that statement was made kind of...
It seemed like it was Clippers that
Yeah,
had
it
to say
seemed
this.
like he got sent home and somebody made a call. It was like...
He shouldn't ever have been there, and that's what bothered me, is that now, after 2 practices, the Clippers have prevailed. The Clippers didn't want him there to start with. There's no way Ballmer, going into a new arena, wanted Kawhi Leonard there.
Having just lost Paul George.
So, to me, did they just convince him? I don't think it works that way.
I think that is a press release that made Kawhi Leonard look perhaps more valiant than the choice was actually in real life.
Dave
Daryl
Sampson
Morey
knows a
should take
firing.
notes.
He knows a firing when he sees one.
Daryl Morey should take notes from the Clippers organization right now. Brother, your franchise is going to play in the Olympics right now. We just, like I said the other day, one eye and one leg the last time we saw you, bruh. We bringing PG-13 in.
Legitimately concerning.
If I'm a Sixers fan, I love that they just added Derek White. I want as many Celtics players as possible playing through the finals. Now the Olympics, they're going to be so exhausted by the time spring training comes. There's no way they're winning 67, 70 games next year in the regular season. Too tired.
So it is funny how sports, like the actual employers of these athletes, see and feel about the Olympics. Like the WNBA has an entire break. WNBA, Juju. Like the Olympic break, it happens during their season. Everybody takes time off because they realize we can't possibly do this. And I feel like if you're talking to any front office member, coach, president, and they have a little bit of truth serum in them, they're saying we don't like this in the least.
You don't need much truth serum to admit that.
I'd say, though, my guess is, and maybe it's different now for the owners, but at a certain point, while on the coaches and general managers level, it's why are our players going over there? I would guess that, especially globalization, most of the owners and commissioners like, please get over there and sell this game, which is why the WNBA comparison is probably an apt one.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, like David Stern was the big brain behind like the Dream Team in '92. It's what changed the league. And now you got to wonder if the leagues see the value or the upside in this in the present day.
They want it for themselves, which is why there's so much international play now. It's why you see the NFL trying to get not just London, which they feel like they own, and maybe they do, but they want Germany. They're going to keep going through Europe. Baseball wants to try to claim Asia and then South and Central America. Basketball wants to claim China. They're all putting down their tent poles. The Olympics used to be a tent pole moment. And we talked about this a little bit, where what do the Olympics mean now that the Cold War is over? There's no commissioner, no owners who need the Olympics to bolster the international status of their games. They do it themselves.
How do you feel about fighting Roger Goodell in various parts of the risk board of planet Earth?
He is extremely powerful because he's got enough owners who back every move he makes, and he does certain things that go against the owners who back him, and that is the sign of a powerful commissioner.
I think that when baseball comes near Roger Goodell looks back at them with a...
Bye, mob ho.
I would...
Good one, Mr. Thighs.
He is wearing a different set of open thigh shorts today. I was commenting on how great and vast his wardrobe is.
So people who are not on YouTube might be confused. I don't have on assless chaps. What the hell are open thigh shorts? I mean, I think you're looking for like
assless chaps is open ass.
I know, but
open
when
thighs is John Stockton shorts or open thigh shorts.
Those are I would call those hoochie daddy shorts.
Short shorts.
Hoochie daddies, shorts, 6-inch inseam, something like that. Open thighs seem like just the thighs cut out, right?
That's a question for our sex therapist, I believe.
Oh yeah, she's coming up soon. Teach me how to Dougie.
Speaking of things that David has said and promised us throughout the week.
Hold on. You sound like you're doing a transition, which means that you need to be in this chair. Let me set a screen for you. Let me set a screen for you so you can get to the chair.
No!
Oh, my goodness. David stole the chair.
Musical chairs winner.
David stole the chair.
Oh, wow. Unplugged his headphones.
The problem is David is more scared.
I just pulled my back.
Oh, damn.
Got up way too quick.
For those not watching or you for the DraftKings Network, David Sampson tried to sit in this chair of relatively normal height.
I would
and,
say he got
collapsed.
there. He got his butt in the chair.
and then
He
I
got
gave
there,
it.
but I think he was
Couple things
concerned about
happened.
somebody else being close to his microphone because he's a germaphobe.
No, I actually couldn't find the hole fast enough.
Whoa, she's
Flip it.
coming later.
Yeah,
Relax,
sex therapist
man.
is showing up later,
That's
David.
later.
See, that's one. Domonique, let me help out a
Okay,
little bit.
yeah, coach me up.
That's one you just could have let go. It's subtle. There've been a lot of sexual innuendo and
Are
references.
you trying to now make it seem like you've been intending to do everything you've been doing all week on purpose?
100. It's you of all people are really asking that question. Knuck, what you buck?
Yeah, that was definitely intentional. David promised us a top 5 list. A list of the top 5 firings.
I'm gonna have to blow through this.
Clip it.
Not right now. I think we have a couple top 5 lists. I don't know if we'll get to Jeremy's top 5 list. Maybe we have an in-room vote or something to see whose top 5 list we want to do next segment more, Jeremy or David. Jeremy, do you want to sell your top 5 list?
Sure. Because of the announcement of Shrek 5 coming out soon, one of my favorite songs ever is in Shrek 2. And so I came up with a top 5 songs written for movies that ended up being the artist's best song. Great. Thank you for that. Thanks. Thanks, Domonique.
We're gonna do a Democratic vote, and I think I know this is like when you just cheered loudly for that, but wait till my top 5, Juju.
Yes, sir.
I think you're gonna genuflect slightly more toward here. I'm gonna give you my top 5 firings and why, and why they were so awesome.
I want to hear that one too. I don't want to hear mine. That sounds great.
Exactly.
That's the better one. You set me up
Wait,
for failure.
you're giving up already?
Yeah, that's so much better. Mine's
That's
fine. We can do that
disappointing,
anytime. I
Dominique.
get it. Maybe we'll get to it later in the show, but I got to hear that next segment. That's really good.
I thought you were setting up a true competition where I had a chance to win.
Bro, we've
You did
been
win.
We've been tight all show. I've been looking out for you. I was setting you up for an easy dub. I was matching you up against the mismatch that we had. That's why I set these screens. We created a switch. Got you on Jeremy.
If Batman Forever isn't on Jeremy's list, I'm going to be pissed.
That's a win for everyone. The matchup with me, you're coming out on top.
I got right past Jeremy there. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty easy
Super
for you.
happy about that.
Mismatch. Now on iTunes. By
Big
Juju
time.
Gotti.
265ers.
Check it out.
That's right. It's time for
Against the
Spread. Brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear all about what DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's start with Jeremy Taché. What do you got?
We were talking about Kids Day in the WNBA. The Aces are at the Storm today, but the Aces are favored by 4. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Aces -4
against the spread.
I'm going to stay in the W. The Atlanta Dream, my Atlanta Dream, are going to Chicago to face my Chicago Sky. I think the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Young Ken, and Barbie will get the job done. The spread is 7.5. I'm taking the Chicago Sky
against the spread.
Charlie's maiden voyage on Against the Spread.
And this voyage is going across the pond to Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz
Alki.
in the semifinals
King
against Daniil
Los.
Medvedev. -4.5 games in the spread. Too much variety. The drop shot, able to spread the court wide. He's going to beat Medvedev in straight sets. The -4.5, lock it in.
Against the spread.
Bring us home.
And I'm going to bring it back to the WNBA. I got a feeling about this one. I'm going to take the Washington Mystics +7 over the Indiana Fever.
Charlie's team.
Wow.
I think it's because Charlie's in town. There's just something about Washington I'm feeling. And that -7 for Indiana, they did have a big win this weekend where they beat the New York Liberty. So Liberty kind of dismissively said this was their Super Bowl. What's going on, David? You okay?
Against the spread.
Keep going. on, Billy. I love it.
That's it. Yeah.
But is David okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
you good?
I
He
thought
was
you were-
checking on me because I had my mouth open. I was waiting for the A.
We were trying to go with against. We were prepared. We were ready. And then Billy had another thought, and we were trying to see if we could hold our breath long enough before doing
It's
it. At least
private
that's what I was
conversations
doing.
while I'm talking.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's really disrupting the show.
Honest with you.
Of course, you cut off the WNBA analysis. Shame on you, misogyners.
Love it.
Not one baseball pick in an entire row.
I'm not allowed to bet on baseball.
Those
Part of the
against
broadcast.
those spreads in
Valleys.
baseball. I hate the spreads in
Baseball's
baseball.
always minus one and a half.
I hate it's a
You
sucker's
like
bet.
minus 4.5 games in a tennis match?
I like it more than those damn run lines in baseball.
We just love Los.
Is that you assume that Alcaraz will get to 18?
No. That'll be total games. This is in the sets wins. Win. It's not winning in tiebreakers. It's like winning 6-4, 6-4. I guess 6-4, 6-4, 7-6 would be minus 4.5 games.
So it's over the course of the sets that he wins, or if he wins in 4 sets, does he get a minus?
Yes.
Could've
When
just
he
let it
loses
go,
Total
David.
spread of
6-4,
games.
do you lose too?
Yeah, total spread of games.
I'm trying to teach people.
Against the spread against.
Do we not want to teach people how to bet tennis?
Pablo, you're back in the big chair. Grab the wheel, doggy.
The top 5 people David Sampson has fired.
I do have a list of that. I spent some time on this because you asked me to.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have
thought back to my whole career?
Do you have OLIs or a straight 5?
Outside looking in.
I don't know what I.
So like
do
if
you-
there's
do you
more
have
than
it-
5.
So do you have more than 5? So sometimes
I had to cut it down.
Oh boy.
yeah.
Well, doesn't everyone
So-
who does a top
This
5
is
have
just
to?
a.
You
This is
don't
a,
get
yeah,
the
this is a- you don't get the show.
How do we not?
I
David,
just
you
didn't-
do the
I
show
don't get
every
it.
week. You don't know how the show works.
Never mind.
I'm okay to admit when I don't get something.
Number 5.
Jeff Torborg. I got a story for you on the Jeff Torborg firing. Jeff Torborg was our manager in Montreal. He moved with us to Florida. He was only hired as the manager because our owner made us hire him because he was a personal friend, and we fired Felipe Lou to bring in Jeff Torborg. But Jeff Torborg made us hire all of his kids, which is absurd. Can you imagine firing your kids to work with you?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
nuts.
no one would ever do that. And so his kid, one of them was a wrestler.
Yeah, Dale Torborg.
Yes. Why do you know that?
I just know things, man.
So the benefit of firing Jeff Torborg is that we also got to fire Dale Torborg. They both got to go, and having Torborg gone, it was a dream come
That
true.
makes me think of an important question. Jordan or Torborg?
Number 4.
Dale Torborg was like a knockoff Kiss wrestler.
Yeah, I looked him up. He's the Kiss Demon,
Yes.
the MVP, the Demon, and also his last ring name was Dale Torborg.
That's his actual name. Number 4, a pitching coach named Brad Arnsberg. He had to be chased. When we went to fire him, he would not allow himself to be fired because he thought he was untouchable because of his relationship with the owner, but it was a power struggle we won to get him fired. Had to be chased.
Physically, like
Physically,
literally.
literally chased in order to get him fired.
So it was like you're serving somebody, like like they were trying to hide.
Gotcha.
I need the visual of where this chase is happening. Is it like through the tunnels
No,
of the
it was
stadium?
in a parking lot. A parking lot.
And are you jogging at some point in this chase?
So I wasn't the chaser.
Okay, yeah, you have someone chase for you, of course.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I'm the team president. I'm not chasing anyone.
But you enjoy the firing so much, I thought maybe you might get your hand in the dirt for this.
And you like running.
You know what? I got
so
this.
perfect fit.
Can you imagine?
Bad boys back.
You imagine? It's like it's like the police officer or the bounty hunter who's like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm here for."
Gotcha. It's more like the security
thrill of the
people when
hunt.
someone runs on the field.
Yeah.
Can I raise a related but separate Marlins person being chased story? Because I'm on Dale Torborg's Wikipedia page, and it says Torborg later served as a strength and conditioning coach for the Florida Marlins during his father's tenure as a manager from 02 to 03. He made news when if you can put him on, if you can show the Kiss Demon, the Kiss Demon Dale Torborg made news when he scared Marlins pitcher Antonio Alfonseca into hiding in a trainer's room after Alfonseca swore at him in Spanish while refusing Torborg's request for a weigh-in. Does that feel
Yeah,
right?
there was a lot of stuff under Torborg that wasn't great. Alfonseca, for people who don't know, had extra digits. Shake his hand, you get a little tickle. He had an extra pinky.
Would it actually tickle you?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, because my hand, I have a very small hand.
Yeah.
So when you
Extra ticklish.
there's no correlation, by the way. So when you shake a hand, you get the little tickle.
We're gonna ask the sex therapist
About pickle tickle.
not that part.
Number 3, Billy the Marlin.
Sorry, I was a little rattled there.
Here's how this went. I asked a very simple question when I got to Florida. Why does it matter who's under a mascot costume? Why is he paid so much? Billy the Marlin's a costume. There's a person under it.
No. I don't think that's true, brother. There's a lot of people who listen
the
to
kids
the show
listening.
that drive around with people in their cars that may not know that information. So I don't think
Just a
that's
Marlin.
true.
Yeah, it's just a
It's
Marlin.
a real Marlin, bro.
But theoretically,
You're
in this
accusing me
example,
of a spoiler alert for that mascots are not real?
There's just
they
you don't
are.
say certain things aren't real, like the big guy around the 25th. It's just we got a lot of listeners that listen with their.
I want to
I'm
respect
wrong.
the
Screw
audience.
me. I'm wrong.
oh, but I do want to hear the story.
So what
You
happened?
fired Billy the Marlin.
And he was a long time. He was the guy.
Right.
And we realized that we can get another guy who we pay way less money to. And because the older guy was doing side hustles with Billy the Marlin, taking Billy to parties and taking Billy to various places and getting paid money with our mascot. And we said, no, the rules are changing. And he said, no, this was part of my old deal. And we said, well, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Axel F.
Damn, bruh.
That's a
that was a good
That's actually
firing.
you
gotta get
actually
his
made the
ass
right
up out of
choice.
there. Right.
That's pretty crazy.
So, and by the way, the guy who became Billy the Marlin had a huge, long career and was fantastic at it. Nice. Number 2, Ron Book. Ron Book may be someone that none of you know. Ron Book was a lobbyist, a very, very famous lobbyist here in Florida, who was hired by John Henry to help get a new stadium. When we got to Florida, we got rid of every single lobbyist. We fired them all. Ron Book was so angry that we fired him that he made it his he made it his lifelong passion to make sure that we never got a stadium built. He became our sworn enemy because we took him off the payroll where he was getting paid money to not get a stadium done, basically. And when we let him go, when I let him go, I remember it well. Bless his heart. I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but I will tell you that getting rid of him made me happy.
How did you do it? Like, this feels like this one.
I said I'm doing it myself.
Did you have like did you have a special line for the people that you were most excited about letting go? Did you have like a movie style line that you would say, and see you later?
No. See you later, alligator.
I don't know. I was trying to think.
I was way more professional.
Ron
Shake
Book-
his hand, you get a little tickle.
Is that what you would do? Or I know what it was. I know what you did. You probably hit him with a knuck with you buck on the way out the door.
I definitely didn't do that.
Ron Book is alive, so he hasn't gone through that door yet, thankfully.
Thankfully. I don't wish him death. Knuck what you buck. Not him. Not to get paid. Okay, and the number 1 best firing that really, really made me happy was Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi, we gave him his chance to be a first-time manager in 2006. He was a nightmare from the beginning, and it was all about his kids and having them around. It was all about his coaches, Bobby Meacham and Gary Tuck, and all of these people he demanded to be surrounded with. He was disrespectful to Larry and to Mike and to myself, and we knew we were going to get him, and we got him good.
Well, you got him twice, didn't you?
Well, the first time we didn't want to get him. The first time was Jeffrey. In the middle of a game, we had to go down. It was a Sunday afternoon when Mr. Laurier came into our box and said, fire Girardi right now, because Girardi had yelled at him.
And this was as he was on his way to winning Manager of the Year.
Yes. So we sent our kids home because we knew we were going to be in the office late. We fired Girardi after the game. The players did a mutiny. We rehired Girardi. That's the one time a player mutiny worked. So we rehired him.
I mean, not the only time.
And then fired him at the end of the season. And when we fired him, I remember looking right into his eyes and saying, goodbye, Joe.
What was the tension?
You're
What was the tension when the players actually fought back and you guys were like, all right, fine, we'll hire him back? What was that
It
tension
was
like?
a disaster because that season was a bunch of young guys. And we didn't want to empower any of the young players on the team. And Joe had made it his business to do an us against them. and you're showing him as the manager, and he didn't have a bad rap. He then went on to manage the Yankees to a title.
I would like to request they clip it on we didn't want to empower any young players on the team. I don't know. I don't need it for the show. I just need it for my personal collection of bullshit that I've heard. Okay, thank you. Just personal. When I to get me fired up for my workout, I would like to listen to some foolishness like that. It's just, I'm going to lift something serious that day. And other times mutinies have worked. I think, was it 1952? The NBA
bounty?
All-Star? No,
sorry.
the NBA All-Star game, right? That was it. I think, yeah.
When you were facing your player mutiny, David, do you remember who was like the ringleader of the players?
See if you can find Dontrell and ask what Dontrell thought about it.
Are you sure it wasn't?
Brad! No. Don't make light of a player mutiny. It was very uncomfortable. And we were okay with it because we didn't want to fire him that minute. We knew we were going to get him at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, you wanted to be mutinied, definitely.
But when you hire him back, do you give him a little, this isn't going to last long? You're back, but
just a whisper in the ear.
I would like to hear about the conversation.
We told him the truth. We said the reason.
September 30th.
We said.
I say damn people.
Like in the field. No, we told him the truth, which was, you win. The players did not want you gone, and just don't do that ever again to Jeffrey for the rest of the season, and we will make sure you don't get fired till the end of the season.
1964 was the All-Star Game strike, I think, that the basketball players went on. And it's how they got.
What were they going after?
Pension, I believe. Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, it was big. So you guys are evil.
People don't realize how important pension is.
I got an idea.
You know who does realize
People
it?
don't, huh?
Yeah, people don't.
Nick Cirillo does.
Nick Cirillo knows how important the pension is.
And his brother.
Do you all? Do you get a pension here at Meadowlark?
Oh, gosh.
That's a good question.
You don't know?
Yes, we do.
Not know.
I've never signed a piece of paper here, so I don't know if I actually work here.
Walking by faith, not by sight.
And that's my top 5. There's so many more. The thing is in sports, and everyone you've worked with in management has a top 5. Everyone's fired people. You're hired to be fired.
Okay, yeah.
Do you dispute the fact that there are many firings that take place in sports?
No, of course, yeah. I've had to fire people. I think you have openly said that you enjoy firing people.
I enjoy firing people who deserve to be fired, and that's a distinction that people.
So this was top 5 based on the ones that you enjoyed the most, or just top 5 most interesting? Because the last one was really interesting.
I actually found these as a combination. I wanted to do this top 5 list, and the way I pared it down from OLI was that there were ones that were required. There were ones that I didn't want to do, but the owner did. Like I could have put Larry Beinfest on here. But that one was terrible for me. I didn't want that to happen. So these are ones that I wanted to happen, or there was a good story attached.
What about when you got fired?
It's a great one.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that firing. I thought these were ones I misunderstood. I thought the top 5 were ones that I did.
Fine. It's whatever you want it to be, but
I didn't mind. Otherwise I wouldn't be here with you in chair 3.
Jeremy Tachet's top 5 list.
Let's do it.
Of songs that came from movie soundtracks.
This is going to be very unsurprising, but it's a very white list. OLI, What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish for the Barbie. Very good song. The only reason it's OLI is because I'm not sure it's actually her best song. She has a lot of bangers. Another OLI, New York, New York by John Kander and Fred Ebb. They also wrote the musicals Cabaret and Chicago. So again, tough to decide that it's their best song. Thank you. We can keep it going on that.
I'm confused. You're making this list, and the first 2 don't qualify for the
That's
list.
why they're OLI. They're great songs. They're made for movies.
You don't understand what OLI means, just like David.
Number
OLI
5.
is stuff that could be on the list, but wasn't
Could
quite
have been on
good
the
enough.
list.
Sounds like you just wanted to talk about those 2 songs.
I did. I really
those
just wanted
are
to
just
bring those in there.
O's.
All right, fine.
Did you skip another OLI?
No.
Okay.
Number 5, Night Fever by the Bee Gees for Saturday Night Fever. Number 4,
have like a BG inflection on that falsetto.
Eye of the Tiger by Survivor for Rocky.
Can't argue with that one. It's a good one.
I didn't love white guy in you on that one, but I mean, it's still.
Do you think he's gonna go Eric Carmen?
I did not
Hungry Eyes?
know. I didn't know that was made just for Rocky.
It was made for
Interesting.
Rocky.
It was the theme, I believe, for Rocky.
Number 3, the reason this list was created, Accidentally in Love by the Counting Crows for Shrek 2. Love that song.
It's not their best song.
Could argue colorblind. I think it's better than Mr. Jones. I do. I genuinely believe it's
Jones and me.
not better than that. But it is better than Mr. Jones.
That was a
Number 2,
falsetto.
Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds for the Breakfast Club.
That's a-
And number 1, for the City of Angels, Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Why are you playing it for that?
It's a good song. I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, it had to be a really white list. I'm me.
I mean, Waiting to Exhale. You didn't never listen to that soundtrack.
Sorry, what?
Fire. Sunset
Oh,
Park got a great soundtrack.
Kiss from a Rose?
Not written for Batman Forever.
Oh,
That's a
wasn't?
single that was featured in Batman Forever. There's a difference here, Pablo. You gotta
you're
learn the
stickler.
list.
Now you're a stickler.
Songs written for movies, not just primarily featured in a
I'm
movie.
not a huge Billie Eilish fan, but is it established that Barbie song is her best song?
No, that's kind of why I kept it on the OLI. I wanted to mention it.
It's a great song.
It's a beautiful song.
What about the James Bond song she wrote and won an Oscar for?
No, that was Adele, was it not?
That was Adele.
What about See You
Skyfall?
Again?
Yeah.
Are you
Skyfall's a
telling me
great
that
song.
Billie
That
Eilish-
actually maybe should have been on the list.
Yeah, that may honestly that was a good
What
one.
about See You Again, the Wiz Khalifa song for Paul Walker?
Is that his best song?
Oh, that I forgot.
What about
All-time-
Lose Yourself?
All-time
Forgot about
C.
that caveat.
Oh, Lose
Lose
Yourself.
Yourself?
Won an Oscar.
It's a good one.
All-time scene though, like when the
a good
cars
one.
are driving
Yeah.
away. Oh.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, I cried.
Still qualifies for your list.
No, Lose Yourself is a good one.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing that we criticize people's lists because of their own taste.
No.
It's very bothering to me.
No.
You
Yeah,
have to
this
be
was very
allowed to
clearly
have
just
a-
my taste.
which is fine.
Yeah.
My top 5s are my taste too. I don't need you to agree with my top list of 100 movies.
Oh man, I gotta explain everything to you.
Okay, go ahead. I'm taking notes. What did I do wrong now,
So,
Chair 2?
It's not that what you're doing wrong. It's that you don't get. I was gonna say you don't get the show, but you don't get the industry. Like the whole point of a top 5 list is to make people mad and to drum up interest. Like that is the joke that we're making on the Le Batard Show. So when they present a top 5 list, if we are not going to criticize it, then we are not completing the joke that's being made on the top 5 list.
I think you're being a bit of an AI. A bit of an audience insulter. I think the audience doesn't require fighting the whole time.
Do you guys have a movie or something that's made you feel old? Because I've had 2 instances recently, and this is somewhat related to Jeremy's list, where I heard young professionals talking about something, and I was like, yeah, I'm old. Like, I'm too old. And it was 2 different instances. It was the exact same topic, and I don't know how it came up both times. But one time I was like in a waiting room, and it was 2 people that worked as like, medical facility. And it was 2 young professionals talking about the best Shrek movie. And they were comparing Shrek 4 and Shrek 3, and I was like, yeah, I'm old. Like, because that's a kid's movie, and you guys are seemingly adults,
We were kids.
professionals here, and you're discussing which part of Shrek 4 was your favorite part, and how excited you are about Shrek 5, and how you want to get the new Shrek things to put on your Crocs, and I'm like, okay, I'm really old. And I thought this was an isolated incident, and then I encountered another Shrek conversation in another professional setting, and I was like, yeah, this is just a thing that now young professionals talk about, is they compare their favorite Shrek movies.
This has to be this week because Shrek 5 was just announced.
No, this was last week. They were talking about rumors of Shrek things that they had been reading online. This was probably like a month and a half ago this happened.
We young people love Shrek.
There are stages of like realizing you're old, and I think that when people who you consider to be adults are talking about things in their childhood, but you were a grown-ass man for, that is a new level of old manness that you have reached. And I'm there too, where it's very weird when you see someone who's like 25 or like 33 talking about their childhood, and you're like, I was in college.
So like the first Shrek came out, I guess when I was a teenager, right? But like I still was like, that's like a child's movie.
I saw Shrek 2 for my 9th birthday party.
Do you think it happened with
That was
Beverly Hills
amazing.
Cop, the new one, where 40 Years was the first one? Are there people who are going to see this one on Netflix because everyone's watching it, and are they going to not realize
I think it's not an enjoyable movie if you have not seen the other ones, because like the movie is all nostalgia.
I think it could stand alone. Like if you're unaware of those things and you're watching it, like it's a good enough action movie.
Yeah, I
like
guess.
it's fine.
I think
they do make references too, like when they go and they look at his like, oh, I was looking at your file. The first one, there's an entry here in 1984, and then 1987, and then 1991 wasn't as good or something like that.
That was a total cut of Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was awesome. And they have Judge Reinhold going in his trunk with all his weapons, complimenting his weapons. They had the little picture of Taggart in the back of Reiser's office.
This is my point exactly. Is I think that this movie is largely mediocre at best, unless
that's what I thought.
Unless you get all the stuff that's like that.
I got it all, and it was still mediocre.
Yeah, it wasn't a great movie.
All of those movies were released before I was born.
I think spoiler alert, flying a helicopter 2 feet off the ground because he's afraid to fly is great.
Good bit.
Every single Beverly Hills Cop movie you were not alive
Beverly
for?
Hills Cop 3 came out May 25th, 1994. I was born in 1995.
That is the number one example of
That's an
feeling
example,
old
yeah.
just there.
No, I mean, the 9/11 in general has happened a few times where I've been around young people who are like, have no recollection of like, I was a baby. I don't even
that
remember.
was like,
It's like I was in college. I was a freshman in college.
It was a not funny meme, but it was when I was like in college age. It was a thing of like, if she doesn't remember 9/11, she's too young for you, bro. Because
Half
for those of
plus
us
7.
born in the 90s, like we remember it. I was a kid. I remember being taken out of elementary school when it happened, and the whole thing. But I don't.
I'm
remember
sorry. Did we
much.
go from Shrek 5 to 9/11?
Yeah, we did.
With a reference of how young you can't do Belichick. He violates the half plus 7 rule.
I've never heard this rule. I heard you say that, but I didn't get it. I've never heard this rule.
So you're allowed to date someone half your age plus 7 years.
The original Shrek was released May 18th, 2001. So just a few months before said day we were talking about.
So take half of 56, 28. 28 plus 7 is 35.
Chris Farley was supposed to be Shrek originally?
Thank you.
Are you just like dating someone and you did the math to make it work out for you?
I think he made this equation up for himself.
This is a question for a sex therapist. Coming up. So at long last, our special guest of the day is April Lampert. April, I just want to apologize on behalf of everybody who may have already been pre-interviewing you, because I've been told some things that I don't want to co-sign just off the jump here. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today on the show.
So I have to be honest, this was my idea, April, and I am not always on this show. So there was a few weeks ago where I was listening to this show and I heard this sound.
I win in the margins. I'm like,
you're Moneyball of sex?
I'm basically Scott Hatterberg.
A lot of walks, but I'm on base.
Other dudes, they can be Giambi.
You know your role, you play well?
I know my role.
So I don't know how much you know about sports, but there's a bunch of guys who are completely comfortable with being mediocre. And I was like, next time I'm on the show, we got to address this. And I suspect that it's not just the people who are on this show, that a lot of people in our audience also are pretty mediocre when it comes to making people happy. So I figured we'd have you on to help us. So can we start with this? I'm asking for a friend, by the way, clearly. Obviously, I'm asking for a friend. What is the thing that guys generally get most wrong about trying to satisfy their partners?
This is a great question, and I'm really happy that you asked. So when we're talking about straight partnerships, the facts are the numbers never lie. The facts are out there, and 95% of men, when they have sexual activity with their woman, 95% of those people are coming. They're orgasming, right? Mm-hmm. But only 65% of the straight women are having the same experience, meaning they can climax. So what does that mean? There's this percentage of folks out there that are with their partners trying to please their woman and nothing's coming out of it. Well, why? I can tell you why. It's because the clitoris, which is what women own, right? It's the pleasure center, and it's the only body part that either of us have, that any one of us have, that is designed simply for pleasure. So only 4% of women can orgasm from penetration alone. So 96% of us need some clitoral love. And I think that's what happens. And that's the breaking point with dudes, this orgasm gap that it's kind of a buzz term that's thrown around a lot. But this is legitimately the issue. And blood flow is the key Blood flow is the key here, and the clitoris needs blood flow. So that means it needs some love before you just sticking it in.
April Lampert has been named the industry sexpert of the year multiple times, the co-author of the book Shameless Sex, Choose Your Own Pleasure Path to Unlock the Sex Life You've Been Waiting For. April, you mentioned the clitoris, asking for a friend. How does one find that?
Okay, so the good news is it's not that difficult. The bad news is every single person is different. Some people have a Rubik's Cube when it comes to their vulva. And let's get two things out of the way here. I'm not saying Volvo like the car. I'm talking about a vulva. Now, vagina, everybody thinks of as what the vulva is. So when I'm talking about the vulva, that's the outside, okay? The vagina is what you put your penis inside, okay? So that's just basic anatomy. The clitoris is on the vulva. Sometimes it's tucked inside. Sometimes it is noticeable outside, but it's between the two lips that are sometimes squished together. And the good news is if there's blood flow and arousal, the clitoris usually comes alive and you can see it more.
Here's my issue, if we can just get to it in a few seconds.
Not for a friend?
No, this is straight for me.
Okay.
My issue is that I have a hard time waiting the time it takes to pleasure a woman because I can be much faster and I've got other stuff I want to be doing. So my issue is, what is the way, without thinking of your grandmother, to make it last longer?
Okay.
It's legitimate.
Practice. It's a total legitimate question. And there's all of these. There's a lot of these. I've seen like power pills, right? Like last longer, keep your dick harder, longer, faster. Which I obviously I don't own a penis, so I can't vouch for those things. I do know that there is some efficacy when it comes to some of these pills. But if you don't want to pop a pill, because that's not really safe, you don't know what you're getting. There's a lot of variations of things, and there is Viagra, but Viagra and Cialis, and I'm not going to shame those pharmaceuticals because I know they are effective for some folks. However, some people want that real hardness without popping a pill. So there are some things you can use, like rings that you can fit around the testicles and the shaft, and they kind of, do you know what the perineum is? The gooch, the taint?
Yep. Yeah. Okay, wait.
Not your
Follow-up
ass,
question
not
for a
your,
friend.
Not your balls.
Follow-up
Yes.
for a friend. Is that the same as the grundle, or is that different?
That is, so it depends on where you're located in the United States and what you'd like to call it. Yeah. I've learned that the East Coast calls it the gooch, West Coast calls it the taint, in the middle they could call it the grundle. I'm not sure, but that's a good stat to learn later on. It's also something that I think that, don't wrestlers wear those? Or bikers too. So bringing it back though.
Thank you.
Like different devices there are out there, and they can also help pleasure your partner, your female partner, pleasure your woman, because it'll constrict blood flow. Kind of, you could get a double motored cock ring that isn't aggressive looking. That's not going to be scary. That's not going to be like, what is this thing? And you put it on, and then when you start to get blood flow to the penis, you're feeling the vibrations of the C ring, and then your partner, if she's grinding on you, can also feel the vibrations. Now, remember something else about the clitoris that I didn't mention. And this might be a little bit hard to wrap your head around because it is such a mystery, the clitoris.
Proceed.
Yes, a lot of this information wasn't even discovered until like the 90s. That's how long it took. So the clitoris, when we look at it, it actually, from the outside, you can only see, and I wish I had a vulva puppet, but I don't. But I'll use my fingers. Like, think of a wishbone. And what you see on the outside, on the vulva of the clitoris, is only about a quarter of the actual entire membrane. And did you know that the clitoris is made up of the same erectile tissue as what you all have? So we can get clitoral boners when that blood flow starts. And the rest of the clitoral legs are located inside the vaginal canal. So if you want to give your partner a clitoral boner, and I know that you said you're busy, you want things to happen fast. Well, it takes 4 times the amount of time for a woman to get the blood flow they need to get aroused. And foreplay is the most important part of sex. Dude, you have to understand. You need to have the patience and the time. Now, if you just want to, you could just have if you talk to your partner and you're like, okay, I want a quickie. Well, then watch them masturbate after, or help them, and don't just get out of the bedroom.
Yes, Domonique.
You're welcome.
April.
Write it down. I do want to be we haven't been completely inclusive as far as sexual preference, but men are stupid, so it's not that hard. Two men together, I feel like it's really not that hard to get each other in the right place. But from a woman's standpoint,
we have the manual for that.
Yeah, I mean, we know what we're doing when it comes to that.
manual.
I like that one.
This might be a bit of a silly question, but as a sports fan and a sports broadcaster, we kind of celebrate the type of athletes who have like a special go-to move. And every now and then I try something new or I'm looking for a new move.
Yeah, my friend does that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Asking for a friend. Are there new moves that you could teach us that we haven't potentially experimented with?
Okay, so I don't know what y'all are doing. You can send me videos if you want later. But I would say trying new things is always fun, because don't just missionary style all the time. Come on, no, we're not monotonous creatures. We get bored easily, right? Humans need novelty. They always need something fresh. So is there a specific move? So this is going to be something that I like. Always doggy styles is a good way to go, but then you could have the old reach around the doggy style and reach around and feel the clit, or ask first. Don't just do things without permission. Be like, hey, can I feel your clit? Because doggy style can feel great. That might be a typical one, but what about adding some extra gear, like some fun gear? Like ask if your partner wants to be spanked a little bit, or add some like restraints that obviously consensual, because that can take away. When you take away one of the senses, like whether it's a blindfold, whether it's use of the arms, always remember to have consent, everyone. I'm not saying just tie up your chick and then just go for it. No, ask if she's into this. And that can kind of leave such a wide canvas for you to paint with different positions.
I have a friend who can't smell or taste, so that is a pretty good head start.
Oh, there you go.
Take away a sense.
Do you know who Dr. Ruth is, April?
Of course. I love Dr.
Is she your
Ruth.
mentor?
She was just a goat, right? She really what she overcame in the world of sexuality, which is still such a thing. Like, look, it's fun to talk to you guys about this, but it's still like giggly and sometimes taboo. When I say like gooch or cock rings, people are like, whoa, they can get overwhelmed. I think she was just amazing. Now, she was like grandma, right? She's like sweet old grandma. She was going to like take a pie out of the oven and then tell you about her favorite dildo, and you're like, okay. So I would say in terms of mentorship, yes, Dr. Sex with Emily, she's like one of my dearest friends and probably my biggest mentor in terms of this field. This field found me. I studied law, right? I never expected to be teaching the world about sex and relationships. I feel really honored, though, that I get to talk to you guys about this. You guys are fun.
I'm quite thankful you're doing this, because there's such a stigma. All men are so macho, pretending they don't have problems, pretending.
Yeah, lots of my friends have stigmas.
They're getting laid all the time, and I love the fact that you're willing to come on a show like this, and I love the fact that we have the flexibility to do this. I hope the audience appreciates it. But I have one quick question, and we don't have a lot of time left.
She joined a show like this.
A very quick question.
You got it. You got it, April.
What is exactly your view of monogamy?
Okay, so this is a hot topic right now, right? People are talking about ethical non-monogamy, opening relationships up. I am
1 minute or less, I need to hear you.
Okay, so I'm a monogamous person for now. So remember that sexual orientation, relationship styles, all of those things can change. They're fluid. So I think that if you can do non-monogamy in an ethical or consensual way, and I know that word's so often thrown around as well, so don't tune out. But if you can do it with a partner that's like, well, I'm bored too. You don't have to say it like that, but I'm curious, because opening up a relationship doesn't necessarily have to be going out and banging someone. It can be people can have emotional relationships. They can have sexual relationships digitally. People sometimes think a sex doll is cheating, right? So I would say I'm not pro cheating. I know it can happen. Sometimes relationships they go really, really far south, and there's no way to get out except adding some spice, and there's nothing that you can do in the bedroom to get out of that rut. There are things if both parties want to work on it. But yes, so as far as I'm not going to preach non-monogamy. Do whatever feels good for y'all, okay?
April Lampert, we thank you for your expertise. author of the book Shameless Sex. And again, I apologize for everything, literally everything David Sampson just said. So as you might imagine, we are very mature and in no way have been having a side private conversation about the conversation we just had. David Sampson just asked me if I have a cock ring.
Is that a personal question?
It's worse. I think that's worse than are you having a second kid?
Did you just say, is that a personal question?
I just admitted that I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Why is it so hard to admit when you don't know something?
David, it's not admitting that you don't know something, but I feel like you are you don't think asking someone if they have
a C ring actually.
Can we do show awards again? Show awards.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with you, Domonique.
Okay.
Because you took a chance with the guest. You were worried, and she ended up being a phenomenal part of the show and added value.
Yeah, she was great.
Woo.
April Lampert was great.
But what was the award?
April.
Yeah,
I would like to give an award.
The Balls Award.
Can I give an award to April Lampert?
Yes, she was great.
Co-owner of the sex toy startup Hot Octopus, which has invented the world's first guy braider. I want to award April Lampert the I told David Sampson to buy a cock ring award.
Yeah.
Half plus
Good
7.
award.
C ring.
C rings.
Can I give Pablo an award?
Oh.
Yeah.
The
That's how
happiest
this works.
person to say cock ring award goes to Pablo because he's going to beat that into the ground.
I see what you did there.
I want to give David Sampson award for the Unsung Hero Award because David Sampson wanted to be in that main chair. And he found a way to be a contributor.
Team player.
Despite
First
the
team
fact-
all side chair.
His first team all side chair. I'd like to give Jeremy an award too. Jeremy Mustache Award.
Hey.
We were all thinking it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't reference it, and it's beautiful. I love it, and it pairs well with the pearl necklace. It's a good
Thank
look.
you very much. I appreciate that.
I have another award. I'd like to give Billy Gill an award for the person who literally got up out of his chair at one point during the interview we just did with April Lampert in order to avoid me making eye contact to ask him, do you have a question you want to ask the sex therapist?
What award is that called? I don't know what that's called.
It's called the crime
Award.
mob, Ho.
I'm not sure Billy was avoiding. Were you avoiding that interview? Were you concerned in any way? Because
I believe
Juju
he literally
yesterday-
hid behind the desk at one point.
So I was wondering, was it correlated to when she was using sexual words or talking about things? What made you disappear into a shell of yourself?
It's a good question. Not exact. I think today we're gonna find the line. Today we find where the line is. I think. We'll all find out together, I guess.
I will say
Find the line awards.
that if this was the line, then we don't want to be a part of
I
the
think
process.
it's just specific words
Yeah.
that may be
Oh,
the line.
words you mean, not the subject.
No, words.
No,
I
It
think
was
we're
professional terminology.
Reach
This-
around.
This was my idea, and I don't work for y'all, so you guys are all safe. You're all
Nah,
safe.
that's
Don't
not
worry
how
about
Fall
it.
Guys work.
There's no
You're
fall
not
guy.
the one who will get in trouble.
You can
I
ask.
know.
Yeah, you can ask David. David, whenever something happens, there's a fall guy.
and it's not at your level.
And I'm in the back row today, so it's not me.
I would say,
Let's fire the bat boy. Fire the bat boy.
I would say that Chris would have an issue, but for the relationship he has with Dan,
So it'll be me.
I think it really becomes all about Jeremy.
Yep. More likely
Jeremy,
than not.
Jeremy, way to take that charge,
Fall
baby.
Guy Award.
Take that charge,
I'll take
Jeremy.
it.
Do your bid with a smile, dog.
I like working with you guys, all of you. I like how efficient we are.
I
like
got
the
another
variety.
award. Premature Sentimentality Award
Oh,
goes
yeah,
to David
David.
Sampson.
Well, it's our last day.
Yeah.
It's our last day together because you're blowing off tomorrow.
No, you
No,
don't.
today's
You don't,
Wednesday.
you don't know
It's
your days
Wednesday.
of the week.
Today is Wednesday.
Yeah, we got one more.
We got one more.
Let's go for the I don't know how to count award.
Oh, I've got some guest
All
ideas
right.
for tomorrow.
Bring back April.
Shout out to the Dangling Feet Award, David
Dangling
Sampson.
Feet, David.
You're
Yeah.
cleaning
Cleaning
up.
up today. He's
You are
cleaning up.
cleaning up.
I need a new chair for
Several
tomorrow.
time award winner.
I need to be in a new chair tomorrow. Shake his hand, you get a little tickle.
That's another award.
I think we've learned that getting a little tickle is good.
All right, I'd like to award David Sampson the We Gave Him Too Many Awards and Now He's Heat Checking Award.
Heat check award. Heat check award. I got a new chair for you. I got a award, David Sampson. The tomorrow you're in the shipping container.
Oh!